For short track racers of all varieties, the trip south to Pensacola, Florida at the end of the year is simply a must. The Snowball Derby is king of super late model racing, and for the Sim Auto Racing Association, a similar, albeit virtual trip mirrors that spectacle. The Sim Rep Market Fall Brawl 250 kicks off tonight with another addition to these high banks of Five Flag Speedway, and we have street stock and late model stock action to get us started. Welcome to Pit Stop TV in the virtual Pensacola, Florida. My name is Andrew Cardinale IV with Zach Murtis alongside, and it's a pleasure as always to join you for coverage of the Sim Auto Racing Association Impel Motorsports National Tour for the Sim Rep Market Fall Brawl 250. Tonight's coverage is, of course, brought to you by Impel Motorsports, by Sim Rep Market, and by Whiplash Simcams. Following a buzzer-beater lap time from Alex McCullum, he will start tonight's street stock race on pole. We do want to quickly talk about this track map, Zach, but then it's right down to it. Here's a look at Five Flag Speedway.
Yeah, Five Flags is one of the predominant short tracks in the South. Host of the Snowball Derby, and one track that you absolutely want to put on your calendar as to attend at some point this year as the Snowball Derby is coming up. It's played host to ARCA races, ASA Super Late Models. They've got their own track series that they run here throughout the year as well. It's been a pretty phenomenal track to come to time in and time again. I absolutely love coming to Five Flags Speedway. It's a track that is near and dear to my heart in terms of just how it drives, and the racing product that it puts on never disappoints. So if you ever have to come to one racetrack for the rest of your life, I would recommend Five Flags Speedway.
It's a pretty solid venue. I was able to go to Five Flags earlier this year back in March for the ASA Sucker Punch Stars Tour. Sucker Punch, a great partner, and they've reinvigorated that series. But super late model racing, Five Flags Speedway, I mean, that is a big, I don't know, it's just, it feels so good to be here at Five Flags, end of the year. Super late models on track later this week, but we have got street stocks to kick tonight's portion of the week off. Let's go through Whiplash Simcams race details briefly, because this kind of sets the stage. We have a 100-lap race with these street stocks, 50 miles, no change sets, 100% fuel, pretty much what you would expect down to the usual SARA formula. There's not a whole lot there that we don't already expect for one of these races. It is just a straight up 100-lap race. Go out there and see who can bring home the checkered flag. So without further ado, right to the starting grid. You already see who's on pole, and I mentioned him already. Zach leading off the Lucky Performance starting grid. It is Alex McCullum, Derek Kraus from his outside, and Alex making some adjustments maybe to the setup here late. Derek took a long time to grid up, so I wonder what's going on there. But moving back to row 2, you'll find Kendrick Cryer in that 66. Jacob Harberts on his outside. Of course, McCullum and Harberts have become kind of one of the dream teams now in the SARA ranks as a whole. Kyle Turzak recently got his first Super Series win. He starts from 5th. Riley Stengham from the 6th spot. Back in 7th and 8th, it's Dante Curtis and Spencer Dickinson. 9th and 10th, how about Steele Langford and Brian Tedeschi?
Rolling outside the top 10, you'll find Mitch Drunowski in the 11th spot, and then Christopher Shepard to his outside in that 6th row. But right behind them in the 7th row, you'll find Matt Rolfe in that 000, and then Daryl Hamlin to his outside in that 14th position. 15th on the starting grid tonight, you'll find Bo Ledbetter, and to his outside, you'll find Nim Cross right there in that 16th spot. Rolling on down in the 17th spot, right behind them, you'll find Samuel Rauch, and then to his outside, Brad Carpenter. And then to round out your top 20 drivers, you'll find Kyle Souza, who's having a few issues right there at the end of qualifying, and then Steven Oberstadt in that 20th position. And then rounding out your field, 21st and shotgun on the field, you'll find Daniel Amaya, excuse me, Daniel Amaya in that 21st position.
21 cars ready to go racing. This is, I don't think, the first time that we've broadcasted with these new street stock bodies, but it's still one of the first broadcasts that we'll be doing with these new street stock bodies. You see there the the casino model for Alex McCullum on the inside of row 1. It is the Panther model, which is the classic kind of street stock here on iRacing, for Derek Kraus on the outside of row number 1. And further back, I believe one of the top Eagle models is going to be, let's keep looking, I think Matt Rolfe is in one. Yes, Matt Rolfe in the Eagle, which is basically the Thunderbird late model there for car 0. The I think you can tell by the headlights, but the casino model, of course, based on Monte Carlo, the Panther on a Camaro. Here we go. Restart zone, green flag coming up, 100 laps, street stocks underway in the Fall Brawl. Right down to racing action. Derek Krause slots in behind McCullum on the back straightaway. Kendrick Cryer looks down low, and already it's single file top three.
These street stock bodies with the tire model as well, they just drive so loose, so free. You got to be up on the wheel with these cars, and you see Derek Krause is all over the back bumper of Alex McCullum as finally Cryer's going to clear up for the third spot. Still going to be doubled up though. Going down into turn number one, McCullum sets the fast time. Krause goes quicker, taking a look down to the inside, but he's not going to be able to get there just yet.
Nose to tail racing. Derek got him loose. Up the inside, Derek Krause makes a move for the race lead. He just unseated that one oh so perfectly. That is testing the bounds of what's allowed in this series for contact, but that was perfectly done by Derek Krause. That was amazing stuff right there for the race lead on lap 3.
I mean, this is Alex McCullum we're talking about, too. If you were not going to be able to give him the bumper to get him out of the way, how else were you going to be able to pass him? The man has been able to just dominate in and out. No matter what car you put him in, Andrew, you've been his biggest praise giver in terms of his drivability with any sort of race car on the iRacing sim. If you're not going to move him, how else are you going to get to him?
You know what, though? Lately, I know, Zach, you haven't been able to do as many of these SARA broadcasts, whether it's the Super Series, National Tour, what have you. Alex has been looking a little bit sour. He's still been good in the National Tour, but in the Super Series, he's only just finally got himself his first win of the season in race number 6, and it was a dry season before that. So, yes, Alex, he's still great. We know what he can do, but he just hasn't quite had that magic lately. Maybe turning it around, maybe getting back on track with that win at Concord last week, but this start so far, back to the 4th position. He sends it here for 3rd, but back to 4th here on lap 8, not the direction he wants to be going.
Terzak was just getting clear of McCullum, and then all of a sudden you see that number 1 car diving down to the way inside of the racetrack with a big lunge to the inside into turn number 1. Try as he may, he has not been able to get back on that bottom step of the podium. Well, they don't do podiums in stock car racing, but the first battle side by side right behind them, that's a little bit further back. That's for the 8th position, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it looks like that's going to be Mitch Drunowski on the outside of Steele Langford. Langford gets that spot. It's hard to recognize who's who in these street stocks because we don't cover street stocks often. In fact, these guys, they do run a street stock series currently on Tuesday nights, but we've got the BRB Sundance Pro Series to cover on Tuesdays. So we couldn't cover the Tuesday races anyways, the street stock races. So these guys are in all different paint schemes from what we're used to with the super late models and late model stocks. We should recognize the cars coming up in a little while as we've still got late model stock action after this race. You did just see a pass there, a couple of passes. McCullum passed Terzak, Harberts followed, Terzak sends it in on Harberts. Great battle for 4th.
Yeah, that big shift from top to bottom on the front straightaway seems to be a... what's the word I'm looking for here? Seems to be a move that everybody wants to try now. You saw McCullum try it first, and then Terzak tried to get it on Harberts. It wasn't able to get it done, so as much as we've been seeing 2 drivers use that move, it has not paid off just yet, as the fight still continues right behind. Dante Curtis trying to pass up Steele Langford. Langford stuck up on that top line. He's trying to find a way to be able to hang on to it. I know that top line can be easy used for defense, but bottom line tends to rip through these corners, especially through 3 and 4 here. I don't know, though, Andrew. Langford is making it work up on that top line.
And I feel like you can use the top side here at Five Flags, whether it's a super late model stock, street stock, what have you. I feel like you can get the top going, but it definitely requires the right track conditions. And speaking of, we can take a look at the Cody Williams design weather conditions for this race. 74.3 degrees in the air, 82 on track, partly cloudy skies, humidity just under 60%. I think it's a decent day for racing. It's certainly not too terribly warm. And if we look at the sim date, November 17th, that makes sense. I think mid-70s ambient temp, that makes a lot of sense for Pensacola right now. 3 in the afternoon as well. We still have some daylight out there as Langford is sideways. Drunowski gets him, and the 77 of Stenjum gets a hit, but they figure it out. What a catch.
Big catch right there from Langford, and kudos to everybody behind.
That was incredible. Couple of contacts there for a handful of drivers. One of them certainly has to be Langford. You see that left front crunched in on that number 33 car. He looks to the inside now of Bo Ledbetter. Ledbetter also center punched the nose on that Monte Carlo. So Ledbetter's got some damage in the number 87. And I think one of the biggest hits in all of that was Riley Stenjum. You can see him in the foreground. He's got some right front damage on his number 77. So as they sort that out at the midfield up front, look at this. McCollum on the back bumper of Kendrick Cryer. A great little race sparking up. McCollum to the inside.
Takes a look right there.
And
Cryer
Kendrick
goes way up the racetrack.
Kendrick Cryer sold entirely there in turn 1.
McCullum set the trap and Cryer took the bait. Up the racetrack he went, now side by side. Up off at turn number 4. Give the point to McCullum at the line. And now Harberts is looking to take advantage of it as well. He gets his nose down to the inside as McCullum clears for that second spot. And he's looking to repay the favor that Derek Kraus gave to him on lap number 3. It's taken about 20 laps to get back up here. But now, nothing is set between the 1 and the 9 except a few tenths of a second and a little bit of air between them.
And watch this 80 car. Jacob Harbert's marching back through the field a little bit. I'll say back through the field, marching through the field. He started around the middle portion of this top 10. He's now 4th, working on 3rd place. Won't find it there that lap around. These guys all bottom feeding around the racetrack. I do think in a battle, the top side can prevail, but certainly in a single file line, these guys will want to try and get as low as they can to start out here. Maybe hot tires, worn tires, maybe they move around a little more, but seeing how these guys are racing so far, and I'm sure open setup as well plays into it, they are staying all around that white line, so that likely will be the case for a while. By the way, as I mentioned earlier, no change set, so if we do go green flag for a while here, these guys will be on pretty old tires at the end.
Yeah, look at McCullum. He is finally caught back up to that 9 car. He runs it high through 1 and 2 to get a really good exit down into 3 and 4. He's going to run it high once again to cross up that turn 4 exit, see what kind of a run he can get here on Derek Kraus. He's going to take a look to the inside. McCullum puts the nose down on the white line to get underneath Derek Kraus, and he's going to say, you, sir, are going to get passed clean by the number 1 car. Side by side, up off of turn number 4. Kraus still has the nose in front, but McCullum is fighting back on the bottom.
I'm not saying Alex has been dirty lately in the Super Series, but he's been aggressive, that's for sure. So to see him set back like that and take this approach, no contact at all, that's good to see. Alex wants to get this spot back the right way, especially with that chip on his shoulder, the contact from earlier. Derek just got into him earlier in 3 and 4, unseated the 1 car, and this is the fight now we have to thank for it. This is really cool stuff. Side by side, mirror to mirror between these two.
And they're setting up a fight for 3rd right behind. Those two holding up that next group coming in, and Harberts is searching around, finding what he can get to get around Cryer down to the inside now into 1 and 2. It's doubled up for 2 rows deep. Kraus still leading the charge up on the top line. He's got about a fender's width in front down into the corner, though. McCullum gets the nose. That rotation up on the top side is what's keeping Kraus in the mix right now, and he is doing a heck of a job as Harberts is cleared officially for 3rd. McCullum clears for 1st, but crossover move.
Derek Kraus back on the inside. He will fire down in there on the 1 car. Derek takes a spot back away. McCullum up the racetrack. Here comes Jacob Harberts underneath. That's going to complicate things. Of course, Harberts and McCullum, we've talked about it a lot the last handful of weeks since the new Super Series started. They're teammates now, and they've been really, really good together. Harberts is down the order. We'll take a look at point standings on Wednesday, but Harberts is down the order in the standings in this national tour. But when it comes to the Super Series, they've been electric together, and this is a little glimpse of that. These two performing really well, even just in this street stock race. 2nd and 3rd, you see Jacob give room there to Alex. They're fighting behind these guys as well. Look at Terzak here on the bumper of Kendrick Cryer.
Guts getting him a little loose there. Didn't mean to wreck him or rough him up. Just meant to rattle his cage a little bit. That's what Turzak is doing right now. As Dante Curtis is sitting on his outside line, trying to find a way around that 15. They're going to be side by side, nose to tail, going into 3 and 4, and another nudge to Cryer. And look at Turzak. He has got the nose on the inside of that 66 car. He's going to put himself down on the white line. Still not going to be able to get there, though, as Cryer stays clear.
I know the series has really high standards about contact and stuff, but I think you got to recognize in these street stocks, this is maybe the only way to pass, to feed somebody a bumper, a fender, what have you. As here we go for the race lead once again. McCullum back to the inside of Kraus. This is really good stuff.
Yeah, Kraus ran him up the racetrack in 3 and 4 to keep a hold of that lead when he crossed him up. Now McCullum is going to try to say, you, sir, are going to get past. A little bit of contact up off of 4. They are so close to each other, and Jacob Harberts is starting to get into the mix. He wants a fight in this mix. He might make it 3 wide. He's going to stay in line with McCullum. Teammates going at it, trying to be helpful with each other, as Kraus is still hanging tough on that outside line. He is not going anywhere.
Derek had a great drive off of turn 4 that time. A little high there through 1 and 2, but again, that top side can work in a battle like this. And of course, Derek's going to try and protect that. Jacob Harbert's now kind of sitting back, reassessing, trying to get a run back on the inside, maybe help his teammate out a little bit. Derek, again, a great run off of 4. Might have just had him at the line. This is incredible.
That rotation through center that gives such great exits to the outside line, Andrew. I feel like that's going to be a big thing as this race goes on. We have been clean and green for nearly 40 laps. We're rolling up on halfway as Kraus is still hanging on. These guys are putting on one heck of a show.
Oh.
And you got to think,
Alex up the racetrack.
Here comes Harberts.
Nothing Derek Kraus could do there. He just kind of got moved up a bit. Nothing Alex, I think, even did wrong. He just hit a bump, but the car moved up the racetrack. Harberts follows right underneath. And Alex McCullum finally has the lead proper. You can see how things have changed behind as well, with Mitch Strunowski now looking at the 5th spot right behind Kyle Turzak. Cryer, of course, sits in 4th. Curtis has fallen back to 7th. Tedeschi 8th. Stenjum Langford finish out your top 10. Kraus trying to get back to McCullum. It's not over.
Gotta think about it too, Andrew. Even though Harberts and McCullum are teammates, how patient do you get when you're in a fight like this? You help your teammate clear the big battle in second, but that big battle for second is still beating on your bumper. Do you try and win that battle for second and go fight your teammate, or do you try to help play defense?
We'll see. It's still only lap 42 here of a very long 100. For a street stock race, this is pretty lengthy. Oh, whoa, look at McCullum.
I was about to say, McCullum got thrown into 4th.
From the onboard there in 3 and 4, McCullum is suddenly back in 3rd, 4th spot. I don't know what happened down there, but something big just transpired in 3 and 4. And we can't even get a replay at it because this is too good to leave.
I think Kraus just got into McCullum. I really think that's all it is to it right there. As McCullum is now going backwards, he has fallen into the 4th position, trying to hang on, fight for that 3rd spot. But he's got to remember Turzak's on that bottom line, trying to pass him up as well. Side by side for the lead, though, it's Kraus and Harberts.
Tell you
this
what,
is really shaping up to be an interesting race.
Tell you what, that'll teach me to use an onboard here. I
gotta stay with the action.
Yeah, I mean, that was showing the action between Kraus and Harberts, but all of a sudden McCullum was just up the racetrack. I don't know why. As you're watching now from Kendrick Cryer's perspective, Kraus and Harberts side by side, and McCullum is falling further and further back. He's down to 5th.
You gotta wonder how much these guys are using up their tires. Cryer. That's gonna check him up. That's gonna let McCullum rally back on that top line. Get to that outside of Turzak a little bit better. Is he going to get to Cryer? Don't think so. But a run up off of turn number 2 keeps McCullum in the mix so far. But you've got Drunowski and Dante Curtis now into the mix. They are trying to fight to get these positions. Drunowski on the bottom line, running with Turzak. These guys are just staying side by side. Get out your video cameras or get out your clippers. I don't know what I was saying there, but clip this, send it to iRacing Top 10, ladies and gentlemen. This has been a phenomenal battle so far.
And it's far from over. McCollum at the racetrack. Way up there in 1 and 2. And we're still just getting started between these two. Harberts and Kraus side by side. I think Derek Kraus is starting to fade a little bit. Harberts is looking better, I feel like, on that bottom. He gets a shove, though, from Kendrick Cryer. A drift through 1 and 2. Harberts hangs on. This is far from done.
3 wide for second spot. It's barely 3 wide. Kraus up on the top line. Cryer was in the middle, and Terzak stuck himself down to the bottom just to keep in touch with this battle. You still got the leaders side by side after we were Tokyo drifting through 1 and 2. Now we're 2 wide, 3 rows deep. McCullum has reset, refocused. He's fallen behind Jernowski, but he is staying in this mix because all they are doing is fight, fight, fight.
Terzak took advantage. Here he comes on the inside. 3 wide because of Kyle Terzak down low. Derek Kraus has to go all the way into the marbles. He is out of here, ladies and gentlemen. 3 wide again. Kendrick Cryer down to the inside in 3.
You thought we were done with 3 wide racing, but we were far from it as Harvard goes from first to third. Terzak goes up and takes the lead. Kendrick Cryer down to the bottom. He's trying to find a way to get up to the race lead. He's got the nose in front. That's Kyle Terzak, but Harvard shoves him through the corner.
Full contact racing between these bunch. Up at the front of the field, Cryer nearly doors the 15. Harberts, I think, gives the 15 a shot there through 1 and 2. Kendrick Cryer, Kyle Terzak suddenly the front row of this battle. And a problem there. Terzak up the racetrack. Cryer was blinking. I think Terzak reacted to the 66. And finally, we're single file for the first time in so many laps out front.
It looked like there was a little bit of contact right there with Harberts and Terzak, so it sent him up the wall as Dante Curtis grabs the outside wall on the straightaway. And don't look now, look who's coming back up through the field. It's Alex McCullum. The first side-by-side battle is for that 4th spot. Then we're 3 wide behind. Kyle Terzak down to the bottom. Way up the racetrack goes Dante Curtis, and they're side-by-side for the 5th spot.
Terzak and McCullum. Kyle sent it in big time there in turn 1. It pays off. He's got the nose ahead of Alex McCullum through turn 4. They're definitely starting to get more and more desperate. This has a green flag. Look to it as Curtis has a moment. Ooh. Dante Curtis, the other teammate there over at Black Magic Performance, as here comes McCullum on the inside of Terzak. Oh, it's not done. Up the racetrack. Wow.
I think the rules of contact in the SARA series here are being very much tested now as Derek Kraus has rallied himself back into the 6th spot. This is starting to get touchy. Kraus down to the inside of McCullum. McCullum gets clear. The window was very close, and he gets down to the inside of Terzak.
That was a beautiful shot overhead to show you just how close that was. On board now with Alex McCullum. Brian Tedeschi and Derek Kraus are battling just behind this. Let's take a look at that from this bumper cam. You see there, Tedeschi has moved ahead. Here comes Dante Curtis now on Derek Kraus. And this is not the only racing on the racetrack, Zach. I wish we could do split screen. This is just the front of the field. There you see the leaders now nose to tail. Look at the back end of the field here. Look at this. Christopher Shepard in the 19. Haven't seen him all race long. He passes Riley Stenjum and brings Daryl Hamlin along with. Stenjum falls back. Sam Roush is in all of this. There's even battling for the final spot in the race. Daniel Amaya just passed Kyle Souza.
Souza's been having a little bit of trouble throughout the majority of this race. He's about 15 seconds now off the pace of the leader. More than likely, he'll end up going a lap down before this race is over, as these guys are turning about 17.5 second laps. There you saw him battling up in front for the 20th spot. And these leaders are rolling up fast. These lap cars, you see them just out of camera shot. They're side by side for that last position. And these leaders are rolling up quick. That's going to start rallying them all back close to each other. So the fights that we saw not 10, 15 laps ago, they are not over even in the slightest, Andrew. McCullum is rallied back into the top 5. Jernowski's getting passed up by Terzak for the 3rd spot. Now it's going to bring McCullum and Dante Curtis into the mix as Derek Kraus has dropped way down the running order. He's dropped down to the 8th spot, 2.3 seconds off. I really think, Andrew, that with all of that fighting and all of that tossing and turning between these drivers, Kraus has ended up burning up those tires.
Quick little update on the midfield. This is a look at Daryl Hamlin and Spencer Dickinson as they run for the 11th spot and they sorted out Hamlin ahead of Dickinson. Behind this, Oberstadt and Carpenter fight here for the 15th position. Nim Cross has recently passed Steele Langford. Kyle Souza and Daniel Amaya still race nose to tail, but Riley Stengham has taken it to the pit lane, and he may be done for this 100-lapper. Time for him to focus up on that late model stock race. 125 laps coming up in the late model stocks right after this in about 25 or so minutes. Of course, depending on how long this race takes to wrap up. But so far, a really good look here. No cautions, 2/3 of the way through. I'll knock on wood because this has been a great race. Let's see how this one finishes out, though, as we've got 1/3 left to go. Single file through your top 4 and lap traffic in the foreground.
Here we go. This is what I was looking forward to seeing. Lap traffic playing a factor as Dante Curtis has passed up Alex McCullum for that 5th spot. He's got his sights set forward to try and see what he can do about these leaders. I think a lot of these guys are just waiting in the wings for a caution flag to see if maybe they can kind of reset, refocus, get that tire temperature down. They've already put enough of a heat cycle on them. Maybe see what can be done as they roll past the speed shot. Terzak takes a look to the inside. This is for the 2nd spot. Up on Harbor, trying to get it away. He dives it in. There's a little bit of contact up off of 4 as they roll into 1 and 2. Oh, this is getting dicey for that 2nd spot. Terzak, he knows he's got a car to be able to contend for this win as they roll past Kyle Souza. He's going to try to find a way to get up to the lead, using him as a pick. They're 3 wide.
Terzak tried to use the 7 as a pick. Didn't quite work out. As we complete lap number 70 here, 30 to go now, and these two are the battle for a 2nd spot. Some door-to-door contact there. That's going to help Drunowski try to reel them back in, but I think Terzak's got the better car right now. Trying to clear up, not clear there. Harberts fights back. This is far from over, but they are reeling in that 66. Big sense, slide job there. Out of car 15, crossover now, out of car 80.
Crossover moves have been the name of this race so far, but the outside line's been great off the corner exit as Terzak is going to get clear and sights set, focus forward to go get Kendrick Cryer and take this race lead away, trying as he may to get up there and have a shot at it. Worth noting as well, Bo Ledbetter has taken himself out of this race. He's 3 laps down. This is the fight further on back. This is the 13 on the bottom. That's Spencer Dickinson trying to find his way closer and closer to the top 10. Thinking about it now as well, the top 10 has really changed around. Matt Rolfe has moved into the 8th spot. Brian Tedeschi is up to 9th. And then Shepard in that 19 car, he has rallied himself up as Rolfe is looking around the outside of Derek Kraus for the 7th spot.
That Lone Eagle moving forward. Matt Rolfe into the 7th spot, trying to work his way closer to the top 5. Gets by Derek Kraus there, and will now start to set his sights on Alex McCullum 1.3 seconds up the road. We are going to do 2 polls here today in this broadcast. Of course, we typically do one for the North American Racing League Driver of the Day. We almost decided to do just one, Driver of the Day between the 2 races, what have you, but I think it'd be awesome, even more fun, as I think McCullum might have been planning. This might be why we saw him fall off, Zach. He might have been planning on a caution-filled race. No cautions means if you short-filled on fuel, you don't have enough to run.
It looks like McCullum is going to be out of this race. Rolfe moves up to 6th. Kraus still hangs on to 7th. Tedeschi, Shepard, and Hamlin, the remainder of your top 10. As we are rolling into 20 laps to go here. And, bringing up Driver of the Day, Andrew, I've had some solid picks here. I had McCullum on that list. I thought he was going to be able to keep rolling forward and maybe go back up there and get that race lead back. But with him being out of the race...
Let me finish on that real quick. Instead of just doing a Driver of the Day, we're doing Driver of the Race. We'll do one for the street stocks and for late model stocks. So we're doing a Driver of the Race here for late models, for street stocks, and then again later in the 2nd race. So I'll give you a chance here. 20 to go when we come back around. Make your 2 picks for the street stock race.
I'm going to have to say Kendrick Cryer has been very much impressive throughout this entire race. He has held strong and waited for those two to use up their stuff and take that lead away. He sat in the third spot for quite a while, and now he is rolling forward. And I feel like I know a couple of drivers that you're looking at picking, so I'm going to take a shot out of left field here for my second pick, and I'm going with Matt Rolfe. He has been quietly and methodically moving his way through the field. He is up to that 6th spot with a top 10 or top 5 in sight. Maybe, just maybe, he's going to be able to pull into that top 5 and rally himself up for that P5 finish. I think it's been pretty impressive to see him move up through that field, though, after starting a little bit further down the running order, and that would be in the 13th position, so he is up quite a few spots at the moment.
Ryan Tedeschi going to hit the pit lane. That's unfortunate. He was one I had my eyes on, but he will head down to the pits, and I think it's just the latest casualty in a race where these guys are starting to have to budget for fuel. It looks like we might not have any cautions for these guys to save fuel. As the lead starts to tighten up, you have your 2 picks, Cryer and Rolfe. I'm going to have to go ahead and grab Kyle Turzak because we saw him drop back and come back through a little bit. I want to go Jacob Harberts as well, but then I looked through the field a little bit. I'll be honest, there's some really good options in this top 10. Steven Oberstadt, he's up 9 spots. I'm going to go ahead and take him. Just as kind of a long shot. What was left at number 3 anyways? Let's go ahead and give him a shot here as he breaks into the top 10 through a measure of attrition.
Attrition, the name of the game right now for the back half of the top 5. A little further up the road, though. Jurnowski, Dante Curtis, Jacob Harberts, Derek Kraus down in the pit lane. I think he's one of the drivers that budgeted the fuel incorrectly. A lot of these drivers were expecting cautions, I feel like, Andrew. You brought it up already. And now they're starting to feel the effects of it. I think McCullum has already set sail and is looking forward for the late model stock car portion of this event. So here we go, up the road. The fight for the lead still ever heating up. Turzak staying within striking distance. If Cryer makes even the slightest mistake, that 15 car is going to pounce. And with 12 laps to go at the line, Andrew, there's just not a lot of time left. You've got to be perfect. Hit your marks. Run the best you can. Do everything you can to hang on to it. You've got a little bit of lap traffic up in front. It's not going to play much of a factor in between these two guys. You see the lap times down at the bottom. They're even. Like, wow, look at how close they are.
Separated by 1/1000th of a second that last time. Let's see what the margin is here with now 11 laps to go. Look at that.
Oh my gosh.
The other way, 1/1000th of a second between these two. Absolutely perfectly even just about between these guys racing for the win. Jacob Harbert's not far back though. That could complicate things. Ooh, this could be a little bit exciting here towards the end. Let's go ahead and bring up Harberts and Curtis then. Give me a moment to finalize that. There we go. So this shows the whole top 4 in their last laps. Look how close Cryer and Harberts were. Turzak a tick off, Curtis a little further off. But all 4 of these guys very close, and Turzak all over turn 4 as they move to lap the number 27 of Daniel Amaya for a second time today.
I think the tire wear is starting to show. Cryer has been very methodical, very patient with these fights up front. Now you see some pretty even separation between first and second and third. Laps ticking by, that time by. A 10th quicker, full 10th quicker was Cryer over Turzak. And you had Harberts and Cryer very close together, so Turzak starting to lose ever so slightly on that leader. And his tires are just going to be too hot, Andrew. He needs a caution to reset and refocus that number 15 car. Curtis has reeled in Turzak, and now, Harberts has reeled in Turzak, and he is starting to fight for that second spot. I think this is just playing all into that 66's favor, because if they start fighting, it's out and away for Cryer.
6 laps to go. Driver of the Day vote is live over on YouTube. You can, well, the driver of the race, I should say. You can make your vote now between Kendrick Cryer, Matt Rolfe, Kyle Turzak, and Steven Oberstadt. Some great options out there. 5 laps to go this time by. The battle for second very much alive. Here comes Jacob Harberts. Shot there to the 15.
Dispatch quickly. Dispatch as quickly as you can. The longer you stay fighting, the further ahead Cryer's going to go. Harberts looking around the outside. He's going to try to cross him up on corner exit. Gets right to his bumper, a little bit of a muscle, and down to the inside. Jacob Harberts puts that nose down to the white line, and they're going to be 3 wide with the lap car up top, back to 2, and off of turn number 2. It's 4 laps to go, coming to 3. Harberts is not dispatching quickly, so this is going to be sketchy. And there he goes, clears him off of turn number 4. A second separates Cryer and Harberts.
3 laps for Jacob Harberts to make up a full second. That's 3/10 a lap that he's got to grab. That is a massive, massive margin with just a mile and a half to go. Make it a mile this time out of turn number 4. He is starting to gain, but not nearly enough.
Popsicle sticks in the air for Kendrick Cryer. He has played this race so perfectly. He held on to the tires. He did everything he needed to do to stay out in front when the leaders started having their problems, and he had the speed to show for it. White flag is going in the air. 1 lap to go. Presented by Whiplash Sim Cams. It's all number 66 out in front. Harbert's doing everything he can to close the gap, but I don't think it's going to be enough.
Off of turn number 4, this time by Kendrick Cryer is going to win the street stock portion of the Sim Rap Market Fall Brawl 250 here in 2025. Kendrick Cryer posted victory lane, car number 66. What an amazing run here in this street stock race. Drifting turns 3 and 4. He's got plenty of fuel. He's not worried a bit.
A green flag, flag to flag.
Yeah,
we saw the flag wave 3 times. We saw it green, white, and checkered, and not in a 2-lap shootout that we could have seen. Incredible stuff. Kendrick Cryer going to park it here on the front straightaway. A little bit of celebration there in front of the virtual crowd here at Five Flags Speedway. What a race. What a job well done. Look at that RKM sticker on that right front fender. We saw Ryan Kuhn kind of come out of retirement a little bit, get back in the Super Series at Concord this past week. We saw his driver Kyle Turzak win the previous week at IRB. Boy, something is starting to work over RKM all of a sudden. They are looking really, really good. Can they continue this the rest of the week here in the Sim Rap Market Fall Brawl 250? Time will tell. Let's take a look back at the unofficial race results, and we'll talk to your top 3. Kendrick Cryer with the race win over Jacob Harberts and Kyle Turzak. RKM first and third in this one. Black Magic Performance there in the second spot. Solid day for Jacob Harberts. And we still have a late model stock race to get done and over with as well. Dante Curtis in that 4th position. Mitch Drunowski in 5th. How about Christopher Shepard? I thought about nominating him for Driver of the Day because we just haven't talked about him at all. We don't know anything about him yet. Hopefully we'll learn more about him the rest of the night in the late model stocks, but what a race there for Christopher. 6th place when it's all said and done over Matt Rolfe. Steven Oberstadt 8th. Daryl Hamlin and Samuel Roush complete your top 10. Rolling through the rest of your racing field, Brad Carpenter ends up in the 11th position with Spencer Dickinson right behind him, with Nim Cross ending up 13th after starting a little bit further down. First cars laps down, that's going to be Kyle Souza in the 14th spot. Seal Langford rounds up in the 15th position, and then it's Daniel Amaya 2 laps down as well in that 16th spot. Then you find Derek Kraus, one driver who had a very, very good shot at winning today's race. Just underplayed it on the fuel, ends up 15 laps down. Brian Tedeschi looks like one of those as well. He ends up in the 18th spot, and then Alex McCullum, the driver that we had pegged for winning this race after getting very aggressive and very racy with Derek Kraus, he ends up 24 laps down, about 9 laps behind the driver he was fighting. Hey, number 9 laps. And then Bo Ledbetter ends up 32 laps down in that 20th spot, with your final car on the running order in that 21st spot being Riley Stenjem, ends up 37 laps down, almost a full half of this race. Andrew, we've got top 3 waiting and standing by for what was an absolute heater of a street stock race here at Five Flags Speedway. A fantastic way to kick off this full week of racing here at the virtual Five Flags, and race winner in race number 1 of the week, Kendrick Cryer. How's that sound, Kendrick?
Hey, I did not expect that. I thought I was probably going to burn it up and finish frickin' probably spinning out, but we saved just enough. I mean, we attempted to save tire, but it was too hectic racing for the lead. They're all the top 5 guys, but I guess we saved just a little bit better than everybody else, and we'll take it.
These street stocks, though, a far cry from everything else we're racing this week. We've got late model stocks coming up, ARCA cars tomorrow, Supers on Wednesday and Thursday. What's the outlook for you now that you've started the week on top? How do you feel through all of these races coming up the rest of the week?
Well, we'll just see what we can do here. If there was like a caution with a green white checkered, I'm gonna tell you right now, there's no way I was winning because right rear was hanging on by a thread. But we'll see how the rest of the week goes. We obviously got late models coming up here in a little bit, and then we got try to qualify in for Thursday.
I'll tell you what, we could do even better than a durometer out there. What are the tire percentage at the end of the race?
Well, I couldn't tell you because I burned that thing down.
Fair enough. Well, Kendrick, good to talk to you. 47 laps led here out of 100 that were all green flag. That's a pretty solid score. Hopefully we're talking to you after late model stocks here in a little bit.
Hell yeah, thank you.
Kendrick Cryer, a big way to start off this week of racing for the SimRapMarket.com Fall Brawl 250. On down to second place, Zach, it's Jacob Harberts.
Jacob Harberts putting on a phenomenal performance to try and hang on to it. Had the lead there for about 4 laps. Jacob, you were in the mix. You were fighting for it. You gave it all you got. And at the end of the day, you're coming up 1 spot short. How do you feel about that, man? Because that was one heck of a fight you guys put on.
Overall, I mean, it was a really fun race. We had some really good battles, went green to checkered. We got some 3 wide action in there, if not plenty of 2 wide throughout the field. Kind of just ran out of time. I was really tight through kind of the mid to like later parts of the race, and then it was like the last 10 laps, all of a sudden my car just came alive. I was definitely reeled in Turksack pretty quick and got around him and was catching Kendrick, but just needed probably 5 more laps to get to him and maybe another lap or 2 to try and complete the pass.
Rolling into the late model stock car portion, how do you feel like what you've learned, and I won't just take at it from a racing perspective of what you learned about how this track is going to run for the late model stock car, how do you feel about running around your competitors in this previous race? You guys were mixing up. Do you think you're going to keep mixing up, or do you think it's going to be a little bit more tame in the late model stock cars?
5 flags is always fun. It seems like no matter what car you put on it, there's going to be some good battles, so I don't think we'll see anything tame. Unfortunately, I'm not eligible to run late model stocks, but I do have a few teammates who are running it, and I think the car is really good, so hopefully we can continue the good finishes for the night and get them some money.
Hearing on the teammates, love to hear it, love to see it, and I do agree with your sentiment. We have been saying it all night long. 5 Flag Speedway knows how to put on one heck of a race no matter what car you put on this track, and you, my friend, put on one heck of a show to finish that car in the 2nd spot. Congratulations on that top 3 finish. We've been looking forward to seeing you on the next one here on Pit Stop TV. That was absolutely amazing racing up front.
Yep, thank you guys. Thank you to Dante for the paint scheme, and thanks Alex for working on the car, and thank you guys for putting the broadcast on.
Absolutely. Love to hear it from Jacob Harberts in the 2nd spot. And you're standing by with a driver who was looking like he was going to have a good shot at it, Kyle Turzak in the 3rd spot.
Yeah, a couple of spots shy of the win there at the end, though. You did hold the lead for a couple of laps. Kyle, what was the racing like there? Mid-race, pack racing almost in these street stocks.
That was amazing. I had a ton of fun. Starting right there, I thought we were going to have to save some tire, and then I felt like nobody was really. Maybe McCollum when he got out front, and then him and Kraus got side by side. But that was a lot of fun, being side by side like that. 3 wide for the lead, crossing over each other. 3 wide for the lead. That was just amazing. And then jobbing through the, getting through to 2nd, and then burning up my stuff. But it's all right. I had a lot of fun. Finished 3rd, and can't wait for the supers.
Speaking of the supers, you're not eligible for the late model stock cars, so you're just kind of focusing up on Wednesday and Thursday. What's the game plan like there? How has it been getting Ryan Kuhn back in the builder kind of mentality, I suppose, getting him back active? How do you guys feel as a team?
We feel pretty good. We've been testing quite a bit. Kuhn's been putting in the work, so when we come to Fall Brawl, we always come, really, really good. So really excited for Wednesday and Thursday, and hopefully we can, as a team, go win that thing.
Kyle Turzak, 3rd place here at the Street Stocks. Good to talk to you, Kyle, as always. Congratulations on a P3. Hopefully we're talking to you Wednesday or Thursday.
Thank you, guys. I just want to thank Kuhn for, building this set. Well, not really building it. We ran it last year, and Tuesday Race on Facebook. Everybody watching back at home, you guys for the broadcast, and Matt Rowe for putting this on.
Once again, Kyle Terzak, third place. Congratulations. And we'll talk about the drivers, or the partners, rather, that we have to thank here for getting us to the virtual racetrack this evening. Those, of course, being Cody Williams Design, Crow Sim Shots, Impel Motorsports, Nautical Marine, Only Short Tracks, Privateer Race Products, RJ Williams 21 Management, SARA Next Gen Templates, SamRatMarket.com, The Association, Throneburg Construction, and Velocity Motorsports. Late model stocks coming up here, Zach, but first, we have got to decide the driver of the race vote. Wouldn't you believe it? Kendrick Cryer is going to take the street stock sweep. He is today's driver of the race for the street stocks, and that is, I think, very, very much deserved. The first 50 laps could have been either Derek or Alex, but later on, as soon as they were out of the way, Kendrick really shone through.
Absolutely, yes he did. He just hung in there and really kept his foot in it. I mean, the man did a phenomenal job hanging onto the race car and staying in the mix when he was getting shoved and tossed and thrown around. So, absolute stand-up job to that 66 car for hanging onto it and being in the mix when it counted, especially when those leaders ended up losing their footing and dropping out mid-race. So, congratulations to Kendrick Cryer on sweeping the race and the driver of the race. But we've got one more race, Andrew. We've got those late model stock cars coming up, and Five Flag Speedway is a step out of the late model stock cars comfort zone, but this track puts on such great racing, and I think we're going to have such a great time seeing those late model stock cars ripping around here.
I'll tell you what, I think we can manage this. I think we can continue coverage, because we have a lot to talk about, and we can go ahead and keep going here, I think. Continue coverage into the late model stock session. We might take a short break, but we'll try to stay live the entire time, because, Zach, we have a lot to talk about with this series in general, but let's go ahead and take a look at the schedule. Flashing back to the schedule for this full season for the Impel Motorsports National Tour, this is how things look for all 9 races, but when we unloaded back in June at South Boston, we only expected 8 races. One was added, that's the, of course, 9th race of the season, the Nautical Marine Kern Winter Classic, and what this sets up for is a really fantastic fall of racing. The Fall Brawl 250 here at Five Flags, the Thanksgiving Classic at Southern National, an underrated racetrack, and then another underrated racetrack, in my opinion, the Kevin Harvick's Kern Raceway for the Nautical Marine Kern Winter Classic. 3 fantastic places to go racing, and I think 3 fantastic races. So we've got Supers here this week. We've got late model stocks coming up for December 4th, and then Supers again, I do believe, at the Kern Winter Classic. I'm glad we added this race, Zach. It's a little bit different. I think it's, we're used to the East Coast, Southeast races, so it's a little different to throw in that West Coast race, but I think it's going to fit in nicely.
Oh, absolutely. I completely agree. I think they balanced the schedule very, very well and did a phenomenal job with giving us combinations that are going to provide, what's the word I'm looking for here? Provide us with a style of racing that I feel like we usually don't see anymore. Because nowadays with, NASCAR, Formula One, or IndyCar, we're kind of always on the same schedule, year in, year out. We kind of know what to expect when it comes to given races with certain packages, certain tires that are brought to the racetrack. But when going on to the iRacing.com sim and really enveloping yourself in how a lot of these big name series like SARA like to carry themselves, they really just kind of take a look at the cars they're using, look at what tracks they're going to, and really give us something that can provide a different sense of speed. In a sense, we're going to tracks and car combinations that we know for a fact are going to provide good racing, but we're putting them in a way and lining them on the schedule that gives us something to really, really look forward to the more we move throughout it.
Now, on a similar note, I do want to talk quickly about the SARA Super Series that also runs on Thursdays, because we have kind of a separate thing to talk about afterwards. It's going to tie in, I promise, so stick with me here. This is a look at the Super Series schedule for 2025 and 2026, this kind of winter schedule here. So these guys are off now, but I want to talk about these last couple of races that have been run recently. We had North Wilkesboro, Mexico City, and then the first mystery round that went to Las Vegas to open things up. 3 races quickly in a row, and then really, they've been racing weekly, actually. We had a break at Pit Stop TV because I was off on a little vacation to New Jersey, but these guys kept racing even through the Nashville All-American 300 that was held October 23rd. So my point is, they've been racing week in, week out, super late models since October 2nd. The second mystery race went to Irwindale. Then we went to Indianapolis when we came back with the broadcast for the Super Series on November 6th. And then this past mystery race went to Concord. Now, why do I bring up the Super Series in the Impel Motorsports National Tour? Well, it's a lot of the same drivers. A lot of them cross over between series and run both. And this graphic here in a second, it'll start to make a little more sense as to why I'm bringing this up, because we've had consistent racing since October 2nd. It'd even go back into September with the late model stocks at Martinsville, but specifically super late model racing since the beginning of October. And it has given us these power rankings that you now see bottom right of your screen. And Zach, I know you've kind of stepped away recently. I know you've had some other obligations on Thursday nights, but now that we can get you here on a Monday, we've got a lot to talk about. I know I showed you the previous power rankings there at Concord. These are the new power rankings after Concord, and things have shaken up quite a bit. Alex McCullum has moved up. Cole Cabrey dropped down. Why is that? Well, I think Cabrey, had he raced Concord, would still be in the top spot, likely with a score in the 70s out of 100. Of course, this is out of 100 total points, but Cole had issues getting into the session, much like Grant Brown. Neither of them could race. Cole was forced to take a last place result, not even last place, couldn't even start the race. So he has dropped down solely because of that. It's unfortunate, but because this is stat-based, this is largely stat-based, it does still hit him. I think if we had just a straight-up personal ranking, Cole could still be up there, but this is very much stat-based to produce this score. Now, since he's dropped down, he's tied with Kyle Turzak, who had a great run. He drove through the field, from the midfield into the top 3 to talk to us at the end of the day. That very much mirrored the run that he had at IRP to win that race at IRP. Granted, he had track position to start him up front. So it showed that he's still strong. It doesn't have to just be from pole position. The rest of these guys, Josh Cottle, he had a bad race because even though he ran up front at the start, Zach, he got in the wall kind of middle of the race, lost his front bumper. Think Parker Traves back at New Smyrna. Trevor Edwards has just been good lately in the long run, and then some of these guys have been moving around a lot because they're just kind of consistently finishing well. Harberts, Dickinson, Hamilton, I think would be that bunch, even though Harberts has the win from North Wilkesboro. And then Parker Traves and Daniel Pope, both are surprises to me. Traves ran good, had not the greatest result, and Daniel Pope, I think, top 10. So this is a really interesting snapshot. I've gone on for a moment here, but I promise, this is a really interesting snapshot of who has been good lately and who is kind of where as we get ready for Wednesday and Thursday of this program with super late models for this Fall Brawl 250, but also for this late model stock race coming up in just a few moments as we start to load into that session. Now, granted, one thing I will say, Zach, and that I promise I'll let you speak here, we won't see as many of these drivers in this late model stock race because this race is open to select drivers. It kind of takes the top off the top and the bottom off the bottom. It's like a middle portion, so a lot of the middle drivers get this chance to go racing again. We'll see guys like Dante Curtis, Derek Kraus, and some others in this race again.
Yeah, and one driver that I don't see on those power rankings that I feel like we should at least talk about a little bit, and that's Ryan Kuhn. I wasn't there for the Thursday show at the Concord Speedway and the super late models with the SARA with the Pierce Fleet Super Series, but you know, I did tune in for as much as I possibly could. I think I tuned in lap 50 going towards the end of the race. And, you know, one thing I heard you bring up, which I really agree with, is we saw a bit of a resurgence of Ryan Kuhn. And, you know, Kuhn and McCullum had been the two that were fighting it out for a while. Now you see McCullum and Cabrey, or McCullum and Turzak, or McCullum and Harberts, or even Harberts and Cabrey. Cottle and Cabrey, there's multiple drivers that seem to be bouncing off each other one time or another, but you know, when we initially came on the SARA scene and we were initially getting started with them, it was Ryan Kuhn and Alex McCullum that were really going at it, and we saw shades of that resurging back on Thursday at Concord Speedway. Kuhn was there, he was giving it to him, he was trying as hard as he could to get around Alex McCullum, and that was not going to end up happening. And you know, he hasn't been around as often as of lately. Obviously, he's more than likely had some other obligations that he's had to tend to as well, but Ryan Kuhn, I really felt like he was back at Concord last Thursday, and I feel like if we see him more, probably not going to see him in the late model stock car race, but as we see him more, I feel like he's going to start pounding it out to try and get back to McCullum, and we'll see those fights of old that we used to see.
So there you go. Those are the power rankings coming into this week of racing with the super late models on track. Now, I did say we were going to try to stay continuous, fully continuous. I do need to reset the graphics briefly. They haven't frozen or anything. In fact, here we go. I'll take these graphics down. But just procedurally, there's a couple of things I need to reset in the back end, if that makes sense. Just a quick refresh. We won't be gone very long. We have late model stocks on track. As you can see, they're starting to turn some fast lap times. So we will be aside for just a moment and be right back to you in just literally a couple of minutes as we get ready to go racing this evening. Late model stocks coming right up after this. Welcome back to the virtual home of the Snowball Derby. In this case, the home as well of the Sim Rep Market Fall Brawl 250. Glad to be joining you once again for a continuation of night number 1. Now, if you're new, maybe a little bit green to the Sim Auto Racing Association and maybe don't follow them on social media, these guys are racing all week long pretty much, Monday through Thursday, 4 days of racing, all brought to you by Impel Motorsports, by SimRepMarket.com, and so many other great partners. These guys are racing tomorrow. We will not have coverage. We had prior commitments with the BRB Sundance Pro Series, and that's our main Tuesday series, so we couldn't just blow them off or anything. So we have a prior commitment there. We'll be covering the BRB Sundance Pro Series at North Wilkesboro tomorrow night. That's what we're doing. But these guys tomorrow, Zach, are running the same cars, ARCA cars, here at Five Flags for a UERA race. I forget the acronym, what it stands for, but what you need to know is that is Grant Brown's league, and Grant has been very kind to join us in the broadcast booth recently for these Impel Motorsports National Tour races. I think the last 2 at least, those being Martinsville and Nashville. But yeah, if you're able to run, if you're an eligible driver, maybe you didn't know it, check out your email, check out everything Matt might have sent you. Make sure you sign up for that race, run that race. I don't know exactly who is and is not eligible, but figure it out. Try and get into that race because that is going to be a really cool race, I think, tomorrow night with the UERA, and very cool that once again, just like only short tracks back in August with the Oxford 250, Matt Rolfe and company at SARA are trying to include more leagues and kind of do a joint promotion effort. I really like that. But Zach, as far as our scope of things, we do have BRB tomorrow, so once we're done here tonight with late model stocks, that's next up in our focus. Points racing, North Wilkesboro Speedway, ARCA cars. It's going to be a ton of fun.
Oh, I can't wait. Absolutely can't wait. I sat in with a practice session just the other night with the Maverick Motorsport bunch and kind of got a little bit of some on-track time myself with those guys at North Wilkesboro. And with the repave, the new layout for the racetrack, hasn't changed much, but you can definitely feel how much it's changed and how it drives from 1987 to 2025. So if you're looking for a good show, I think tomorrow is going to show just why these guys love running that ARCA car. And we're finally taking a short track car to a short track. A really good short track in my opinion too. But a short track car on a short track is what we're looking at right now as practice is getting ready to wrap up with Williamson and up on the top of the board and Kendrick Cryer kind of picking up where he left off. He is up towards the top of the board, P2 on the running order, and I sure would hope that after we saw a green to checkered race that last time out, that a lot of these guys who underfueled the car would not underfuel it going into this race.
Yeah, I think that might be on these drivers' minds as they get ready for a 125-lapper here today in late model stock competition. Here is a look at Chase Williamson, fast in this practice session at a 16.330. Chase has been really, really good lately in the the SARA Super Series, the Pierce Fleet Service Super Series on Thursdays. He has subbed the last 2 races for Casey Kelly. He has been fantastic in that 5 car, running in the top 10. So he is one to watch, I think, in the grand scope of things, in just SARA as a whole. I would not be surprised to see him be promoted to be able to run the Super Series next season. If not next season, maybe the season after that, if he keeps at it, because he is really getting good, and a driver certainly worth watching in this late model stock race here tonight. And I'm not sure if he's eligible to run the Super race later this week, but hopefully he is. He's been fantastic. Here's Kendrick Cryer. You'll recognize the same kind of paint scheme as he ran on his street stock. He is second in this practice session, just 9/1000th of a second off of Chase Williamson. Carter Levi sits in third. He's rolling out of the pit lane now in that Caudal chassis, number 28. Love that really nice, not even teal, but just an aqua kind of blue there. And then Derek Kraus lately has been really, really good in all of late model racing. Won at Newport Speedway in the ASA Appalachian Sucker Punch Super Late Models back in May. I was privy to that race, was on the broadcast crew for it, and Derek really impressed me that day, so it'll be cool to see him racing here on a late model today. And then Jacob Snyder, a driver that's new to us, here in 5th. I think these are kind of your previews kind of who might be good in this late model stock race. They've still got to qualify though.
Qualifying just up on the docket here. 30 seconds left on the clock. You see a few drivers just throwing in some mock qualifying runs here at the end, finding what speed they can. I think that's a solid thing to be doing here at the end of the session.
Wow.
Just put in whatever lap you can. Timmy Pacioli on the racetrack. He's rolling through 3 and 4 in that number 86 car.
That's a name I have not seen since the UFL days.
Hey, he's got black, yellow, and blue on that race car. I am his biggest fan now.
Yeah, he's fitting into our collective color scheme well. So cool to see Timmy in the race tonight. Steven Oberstadt out there as well. How about Brad Carpenter in the number 31? He's here tonight. Bo Ledbetter is back in this late model stock race after running the street stocks a little while ago. So practice wraps up, qualifying coming up next. As far as sim conditions, the date is the same. You see the time there, 2:30, right about the same as we saw for the street stocks actually, so it should be pretty similar conditions. Let's check those weather conditions. 77.7 in the air, 83 on track. Yeah, I mean the humidity spiked up a little bit, but otherwise that's pretty similar, Zach.
I mean, with the humidity spiking, it's just going to be a tad more slick out there on the racetrack, but hey, looking forward to another great race. We saw a caution-free race in the street stocks. I'm gonna knock on wood because every time we keep saying caution-free, I feel like we're jinxing ourselves more and more for what could be still a great race, but maybe have a few more cautions. As Schneider takes lap number 1 on the board, rolls a little high, and he's actually gonna shut it down right here. You went quickest.
That was just one lap though.
Yeah, one and done.
Here's Jake Fisher with Mama's Pizza Express on the car. I was looking over the new names here in this race. I believe, yeah, I've seen that Mama's logo around. He is from North Carolina, as Kendall Tucker will go fastest, but I've seen that Mama's Pizza Express logo somewhere around North Carolina, I feel like. Regardless, Kendall Tucker goes a little faster. He goes up to the top spot. Dustin Smith in third. Can he go faster here to the stripe? It will be slower. Lap 2 for Dustin Smith. Jacob Schneider going to take one more shot, but I think he'll be out of laps as Tedeschi will go fourth.
One spinning down the back straightaway, Kyle Souza, after finishing up his laps.
That's shutting it down for Tedeschi. He got loose.
Yeah,
got way loose.
Would not expect him to keep rolling. Here we see Justin Crow on the racetrack, and that is going to be a 34 for him. That's going to put him P6. Here's your race winner from the street stocks, Kendrick Cryer, throwing it down into 3 and 4. And up off of 4, it's going to be a 16.315. That's going to slot him in P7, right behind Fisher in the 84 car. Matt Rolfe in that number 0, ripping through 1 and 2, left front down on the apron, a 16.48 posted on lap number 1. Lap number 2 looking to improve, needs to find at least 2/10 if he wants to put it on the pole. Rolfe clicks across the flag stand. It's a 50, so it looks like lap number 1 is going to be the lap of record for a lot of these drivers. So Schneider actually, maybe he had it right, shutting it down after lap 1.
Here's Braden Campbell, 20 seconds so far, trying to go faster to lap number 2. He will, I think, go faster. It'll be a 16.326. That is decent. That's 9th quick as Chase Williamson jumps up to the 2nd spot. Can he go faster here? Lap 2, 5/1000ths of a second. Painstakingly close here on lap 1. No, he's done. Throws it into the wall. That is it. Frustration mounting for Chase Williamson. He could go no faster. Here's Mitch Drunowski, a burnt lap 1. What can he do lap 2?
Throws it into 3 and 4. He runs it a little high to get a better exit. Off of turn number 4, brings it back to the flag stand. It's a 16.36. That's not even good for a top 10. That's still going to keep him down the running order in P18. Clicking past the flag stand, down into turn number 1.
This is Derek Kraus. He's running extra laps. Can you believe this? A driver that is pretty well decorated in late model racing, has run a plethora of NASCAR National Series races, including the NASCAR Cup Series even as recently as this year. He is taking extra laps here in this qualifying session, getting all that he can out of this little qualifying session. continuing to turn more and more laps, keep getting a little more practice, might have even made some adjustments to the setup here to find a little more speed. And you know, he can still see what the lap could have been, right? It might not be counting, he can see what the lap could have been, so it's worth it for him. Although someone has just got a tick faster, that would be Drew Wooten, who quickly toes back to the pit lane. Drew goes 4th place here in qualifying. Good to see that out of the 2 car, but that knocks Derek Kraus down 1 more spot to 5th.
Yeah, Kraus just recently tried to qualify for the Daytona 500. And I believe that was with Colleague Racing as well. And you don't get to the NASCAR Cup Series without knowing your way around any sort of race car, even if it is on the iRacing.com sim. So Kraus knows what he's doing, and I'm sure getting those extra practice laps are going to be beneficial for him as he shuts it down here in lap number 3. And you called it out. Drew Wooten puts himself into that 4th spot. He's one driver that I've had the privilege of being able to run around in some official races here on the iRacing.com sim, and he's no stranger to running up front in these late model stock cars. He's got something figured out. So I would expect to see him running very, very well in the early and the late stages of this event.
Derek ran a handful of the crown jewel events of the NASCAR Cup Series earlier this year, including the Coca-Cola 600 and the Southern 500 later on in the year. But let's focus up on this evening's race. Weather conditions, as things have changed a bit. It's cooled off slightly, only a degree or 2 ambient, but the track temp has come down significantly as it's now 4 o'clock in sim. That's decently important, I feel like, Zach, and it's going to be, I think, helpful to these drivers. We should see the light starts come on. Humidity has ramped up a little more, but it's going to be, I think, a little more grippy out there with that track temp coming down, and shade on the racetrack is going to help these guys a ton. So as we get ready here for 125 laps, let's take a look at the Lucky Performance starting grid. On pole, Kendall Tucker, car 00, will lead him to the green here today. He's scored as the number 1. It'll be the number 51 for Chase Williamson, who will start from 2nd spot. Jacob Schneider, good in practice, better in qualifying. He'll start 3rd. Drew Wooten from the 4th spot. How about Derek Kraus, Dustin Smith in row 3, followed up by Brian Tedeschi and Jake Fisher in row 4, and finally Kendrick Cryer and Chase Robertson round out your top 10.
Rolling on down into the 11th spot, you'll find Braden Campbell and Carter Levi starting 11th and 12th on the grid. That's row number 6. Row number 7, right behind him, you'll find Justin Crow, who's had some great experience in these late model stock cars, and Brad Carpenter to his outside in that 14th spot. 15th on the grid, you'll find Steven Oberstadt and Max Cookson to his outside in that 16th position. 17th on the starting grid, you'll find Dante Curtis, who was a top 5 contender in the street stock race, looking to replicate those results with Timmy Pacioli to his outside in that 18th starting position. And then rounding out your top 20, you'll find another driver who had a top 5 on lock. That was Mitch Drunowski in that street stock race, and then Bo Ledbetter, who ended up dropping out of the street stock race relatively early. Let's see if he can't keep up those spots and stay in the race throughout this late model stock car portion. He's rolling off 20th.
Starting 21st, how about Matt Vorndran back in car number 001? He will start from 21st spot on the inside of row number 11, followed up by Daryl Hamlin on his outside. Then Bob Belshaw back in 23rd, Matt Wolf in 24th, Jacob Hayes 25th, Steve Cigars in the 26th position, row 14, Samuel Roush and Kyle Souza, followed up at the rear by Nim Cross on the inside and Christopher Shepard on the outside of this starting grid. There they are, back of the field. You see Chris Shepard in that 19, Nim Cross in that the 07. That's a really cool iRacing arcade paint scheme. That is really awesome. That's a great way to advertise that. If you didn't know, iRacing does now have that arcade option, I believe, on Steam. That is something to look into. I haven't done so yet. I've been pressed for time, but one of these days I'll have to see what it's all about. Meanwhile, as we get ready to go racing, late model stocks up for grabs, 125 laps, 62.5 miles. Otherwise, Zach, it's a carbon copy, just different cars.
Absolutely. Looking forward to seeing how these drivers adapt and change over to how these late model stock cars drive. I think we're going to be in still for one heck of a show. The pace car makes the hard left turn into the restart zone, and we are green flag racing at 5 Flag Speedway. Let's get them down into turn number 1.
Couple of cars grab the wall down the back straightaway. That's okay. Lap 1 will go complete here across the start-finish line. Oh, Kendall Tucker way up the racetrack. What's going on there at the front of the field? Chase Williamson down low. It is a race for the top spot on lap 2.
Side by side for the race lead. Tucker tries to let him go and slot in line. Can't get down to the bottom. It looks like Schneider's going to fill that hole. And now Kendall Tucker hanging tough on the top line. He's not going to have anywhere to go as Chase Williamson goes purple on lap number 3.
Here comes Drew Wooten in that 4th position. A lot of pressure here very early. Chris Shepard is slow and in the pit lane, and 2 cars are around. Those are SARA veterans, Brad Carpenter and Bob Belshaw. There's Carpenter, there's Belshaw. A lot of damage on that 44 car.
We went caution free, and then lap number 3 is when we saw the action in the street stock race. Passes for the lead. Now we see a caution flag as a tip around from Timmy Pacioli. Sends him down to the inside wall.
I don't know that Timmy did anything wrong there. Let's take a look at it, though, from his onboard. Brad got up the racetrack and kind of came back down on the exit of turn 2, and Timmy was just kind of there. Yeah, I don't know that Timmy did anything wrong. That was just a bad situation in general that resulted in this incident for each of these guys. I don't know that Brad did anything wrong either, though. I mean, to that point, I just think that was 2 cars meeting in the middle of their 2 bumpers. Honestly, Timmy might not have touched him.
He could have just snapped loose, realistically.
He might have. Watch this. Oh, he might. I don't know. I don't know. That's really close between them, because they can, their bodies can overlap a little bit without their hit boxes making contact, and it didn't look like their hit boxes made contact based on the way the cars reacted, because there wasn't like a jolt out of the 31 or anything. But I think Pacioli has taken responsibility for it, so he must have seen contact on his side. So I will defer to that as Brad Carpenter works out of the pit lane here. Pacioli, as the 29th car in line, has not pitted under this caution. And then Chris Shepard, unsure as to why, but he did pit during that short green flag run. He is now 30th position, 1 lap down in car number 19. And I noticed a logo there, Zach, Black Magic Performance, so he's got the same kind of tuning that McCullum and Harberts and those guys have. So Harberts is trying to help Shepard out here. He might be one to watch for if this race gets going for a little while, see if that Black Magic Performance setup can come into play. Here we go. Green flag, restart zone coming up. First restart of the night. Big moves to get down to the bottom of the racetrack. Clearly everybody wants to be down there, Zach. All clamoring to get to that white line. Kendall Tucker again, a little wonky here on this restart. Up the racetrack there on a turn 4. But he's doing well for himself. He's got a Black Magic Performance set up in that car as well.
Yeah, Tucker is just trying to find some footing right now. He tags the wall a tad on the front straightaway. Drew Wooten is now looking down to the bottom line to see if he can't take away that 3rd spot from that ailing 00 who is stuck up on that top line with nowhere to go. He is just leaning on that 81 car of Schneider, little sideways up off of 4. Wooten now with the car inside on the quarter panel. And Tucker is just trying to hang on for all he's got, rolling around on that top line. Has got to be putting a strain on that right front tire, especially that right rear tire. Look at his hands. Doing everything he can, and we talked about it a lot, Andrew, that steering wheel input is also part of setup data, so we may not be seeing very accurate inputs from these drivers, but you gotta imagine that their hands are all over the place right now with how much they're fighting as Tucker grabbed the wall again down the back straightaway.
What I noticed, though, is Chase Williamson, of course, is losing the lead here. This is big. Schneider just drove on by. Williamson's up the racetrack all of a sudden.
3 wide.
A lot like what you saw out of McCullum in the street stock race. Tucker back through the middle. Wooten down low. Williamson just goes from 1st to 5th in a lap. Until then, I was going to say Tucker looked like he was very free. But Chase Williamson, 0 to 0 very quickly here. I don't know what's just gone on.
Let him save his tires, do his thing. As Tedeschi puts his nose in there, looking for the 3rd spot. A little bit further on back, though. Garrett Krause leading over previous race winner Kendrick Cryer.
Well, he started 5th. He's down to
down
to 8th. He's been dropping back on this restart. He is down.
Robertson moving up
behind Robertson and Smith as they battle down the front straightaway now. And Krause worked to the inside of Dustin Smith, but back up to the top 4. Brian Tedeschi's in this fight all of a sudden. He's up underneath the 0-0 of Kendall Tucker. Nearly contact. Maybe there was some contact leading on one another there, but here we go for the race lead.
Look at that right front on Kendall Tucker. It looks a little pushed in, but might be okay as he rolls back down to the bottom line, gets to the inside of Brian Tedeschi, and he's going to stick his nose up on his number. A little bit of contact. Tedeschi gets squirrely. They're back single file racing for the top 4 as Wooten has taken over the race lead. Schneider, Tedeschi, Tucker, Williamson, Robertson, Krause, Smith, Levi, and Cryer, your top 10 as they run here on lap number 18 of 125. We've had 1 caution for 4 laps, the only caution between these 2 races so far, 3 lead changes. That doesn't discount the fact of how many times these guys have been clicking back and forth throughout the laps, because it only counts the lead changes at the start-finish line when timing and scoring updates on the iRacing Tower.
The point we made there, though, Zach, 3 different leaders, I believe, as well in this race. Drew Wooten, the 3rd of them, now gets out front as here comes Kendall Tucker to the inside of Brian Tedeschi. We have swapped the lead around quite a bit. Let's think about this. We had Chase Williamson out front, then Jacob Schneider briefly, and now Drew Wooten leading over the 81. As we've got a caution went around Bob Belshaw right in front of the leaders.
More cars around up in turn number 2.
Big incident over here in turns 1 and 2. Jacob Hayes around. Matt Rolfe is slow. There's Hayes.
Well, the iRacing.com pace car taking its leisurely through the apron as Hayes has parked it there as the field goes on by. It looks like he's going to wait for them to roll through so he can back up onto the racetrack. Let's see what happened here. Rolling through turn number 2. Oh, Belshaw just kind of self-clears on the 07. Spins it down to the bottom line. That's a pretty self-isolated incident, so I wonder what happened with the rest of them.
Yeah, Belshaw got the wall on the front stretch, so they come down in front of Nim Cross, and that's just heads-up racing between those 2. Nim was down there. Belshaw didn't realize he was going to close up and get to the inside that quickly. Tried to make himself some room, but then stuff happens deeper in the field. Steven Oberstadt and some others involved. Let's see, Jacob Hayes, of course, had that big part of it. So let's see what happened over here. I'd imagine a checkup maybe for the caution. We saw this kind of brewing on some of the static shots. A checkup there that started, I think, with Kendrick Cryer results in this incident. My goodness, Oberstadt, Hayes, Hamlin, Braden Campbell.
The accordion effect.
Several drivers involved down here in 1 and 2. I'm curious, what even caused that checkup for Cryer?
Look at Cryer up in front. Oh, big move down to the bottom right there out of the 83 car, and that's what stacked up that inside line more than likely. The incident up in front, not necessarily affecting what's behind them, but I think...
Watch that bright blue car with orange accents, center of your screen. Watch him here, we'll slow it down. Right there, he checks up. That checks up the 00. That checks up the 03, then the 3, then the 1. And by the time it got down to the 3 car, rather, well, it scored was the 8. By the time it got to Oberstadt and Hayes right behind him, there was no time to make amends. And Hayes just ran right in the back of Steven Oberstadt. One more look, then we'll come back green.
Yeah, that big move down from top to bottom, we saw it a couple of times in the street stock race. This is the first time we've kind of seen it play out in a bit of a not-so-okay manner for the rest of the field. No pass was made on it either. But the iRacing.com base car is going to send it off back into the pit lane, into the restart zone. Wooten leads them, Schneider to the outside. Let's send them back down to the turn number 1.
Let's see, we had 100 laps, green flag of the street stock race. Let's see if we can do 100 more here in the late model stock race now that we have the opening 25 out of the way. Tedeschi clear of Schneider and Tucker. They fight for third. Right behind them, it'll be Williamson and Robertson. Couple of chases battling for the fifth spot.
Now Wooten got a big jump on the restart, ended up getting 3/10 clear as Schneider is going backwards. Oh, trying to get clear. Tucker not so much. Schneider hanging up on top line. Williamson down to the bottom. He's to the inside of that 81 car. Now they'll get single file racing. Still taking a look, not going to get there. Little defensive into 3 and 4, but Tucker hangs on over Schneider. Side by side behind him. Couple cars grabbing the wall. 39 of Cookson right behind the 28 of Levi. Kraus on the bottom. Ledbetter to the inside. These four are gonna be 2x2, and that is just on the outskirts of the top 10. 3 wide behind him. Down into turn number 1. Levi backs out of it. Resets. Refocus. Smart move. 30 laps in. Don't get caught in a 3 wide battle this early.
Then he's starting to get single file again through the top 10. Cookson contact from Ledbetter. They save it, maybe. Wow, look at the stuff behind it as well. Drunowski and everybody else, what a job to hang on to it. But it did not last. Timmy Pacioli around on the front straightaway. And the 86 might want an 86 this day. Now, this has been a rough one for Timmy.
Involved in the first incident of the night. Now involved in a separate incident.
Right behind Sam Roush. The checkup happens up ahead. You see him slow down, gets hit there by the 19, and that was a big hit for Oberstadt. He was in the driver of the race vote earlier in the street stocks. Unfortunately, I think Oberstadt might be done after this. Look at it here. You see the checkup happening from this drone camera. Then he gets hit, and oh my gosh, big hit. Carpenter, wow, just barely got by. Check this out for Brad Carpenter here. Driver's eye POV. He checks up early, as you should, by the way, and then right there narrowly gets by. Wow.
We didn't exactly have a nomination to be made in the last race, Andrew, but I think that right there is a lucky performance, a lucky break of the day nomination. Absolutely. For Brad Carpenter in that 31 car.
Absolutely. To keep on going by like that. That was really, really close there for Brad Carpenter. And he's already had an incident earlier in this race with he and Belshaw. So hoping to turn things around as Bo Ledbetter will take the penalty here. He actually pits for it, but will go to the rear of the field regardless. So he continues as... boy, this has been a rough start to the late model stock portion. Ledbetter, you saw him on the pit lane, Steven Oberstadt as well. He will now leave the pit lane, driving through all the members there on the pit lane, but he will get back on the racetrack here, the number 3, right back at it for the only short tracks camp. Just a rough night for him in general. But here we go. These are your race leaders. We'll have 90 to go when we go back green. Again, these are just the late model stocks. We've still got supers Wednesday and Thursday. We have qualifying on Wednesday, qualifying races to follow, and then a last chance qualifier Wednesday as well before we go racing for the 250 lap feature event on Thursday evening. Green flag once again, 90 to go here in the late model stock race for the Sim Wrap Market Fall Brawl. Side by side for third, but first and second get away. Great night of racing so far, and we have still only just scratched the surface of what these late model stocks have to offer, Zach. There you go, some contact for fifth. Kraus and Snyder make some contact, and they keep on battling.
Kraus moving himself back up into that top 5. You know, he had some difficulties in that street stock race that prevented him from charging for the race win. More contact. That's Schneider and Robertson beating off each other going into turn number 3. And Kraus now has that top 5 locked in, sight set on 4th spot. Brian Tedeschi, he's going to try to put himself in position to take this race win, one that he could not get in the last one due to underfuel in the car. It's a bit of a different change of hands into the late model stock car. Oh, what a beautiful speed shot cam. Whiplash sim cams providing us with some amazing shots of this amazing racing facility. That's one shot that you always love to see is right off the pit wall down into turn 1 here at the Snowball Derby. And all of these speed shot cameras rolling around the racing facility, showcasing just how great of a race these guys are putting on. We've had a few more cautions in the street stock event, but I don't think that discounts any of the racing we've seen so far, as Tedeschi dives down to the bottom, trying to take the 3rd spot away from Williamson. Gets back in line, settles in, still in 4th.
CML working right down along the white line through these corners, past the shot there to turn 3 on the back straightaway, and back around turns 3 and 4 again. White line, look at this, right over you, right into your living room. One more time.
Just got to get him some 3D glasses. Really send him right into the living room, as Wooten has built out a almost 0.5 of a second gap over Tucker, who has worked himself back up into 2nd. This race is far from over, Andrew. We have not even hit the halfway mark, and we've still got plenty of racing, plenty of driving to go. These guys have got to start settling in and doing some tire saving, giving themselves the opportunity to have that late race charge. But these cautions are letting them put heat cycles on these tires, cool them down, heat them back up, cool them down, heat them back up. And, you know, it's going to create a bit of a different racing product than we saw where these guys went green all the way in the street stock race, as Robertson goes down to the inside of Derek Kraus, gets that position well and easy. You know, these guys had no heat cycles in the street stock race. So now they might be pushing a tad more earlier on, but I think they're starting to fall into that rhythm.
Chase Robertson grabs that 5th position away from Derek Kraus. Some battles deeper in the field. Kendrick Cryer, of course, a lot of eyes on him after winning that street stock race, but he is mired back in 11th right now, started 9th, so he's kind of floating around that top 10 cutoff point, but you know, we were hoping to see him a little higher up the order, I think, to continue those successes from the street stock event earlier. He's just ahead there of Matt Vorendren, right behind Dustin Smith. He's been as low as 14th, though, so he is working back through the field a little bit, trying to get back into that top 10 as he works on the back end of that number 83 car. Deeper in the field yet, how about Daryl Hamlin? Look at all this. Christopher Shepard, Matt Rolfe. Big fight here through 3 and 4. And, you know, for Christopher Shepard, I go back to just not knowing that name at all. A lot of these other names that we don't usually see on Thursdays, I at least know their name. But Shepard, I don't, as there is a car, I believe, around. It's Justin Crowe. Oh, dear.
Ooh.
I saw it happening at the top of the frame into turn 1, but I was hoping they would sort it out. They did not. A look from high above. Watch the red 86, top of the screen-ish. Down the front stretch, Bo Ledbetter goes to the inside. That's the 87. Crow tries to cover it up. They make contact, and boom, gets hit by, I believe that's the one of Hayes. Carpenter takes a big hit as well.
That's a big ol' hit right there for the 31 car. He just got tapped from behind and went spinning head onto the wall. There you see Crow. Oh my goodness, look at that back there for Carpenter. That was a big mishap right there.
I'll get one more look at this for Crow and Ledbetter to start all of this. So Crow is a little slow off the corner following Souza. Ledbetter has a run and takes it low. I gotta be honest, before halfway, I think you just let that driver have it. I know you don't want to, but you're racing back here for like 15th anyways. I don't see the benefit in blocking for that, or even trying to squeeze for it, and you see the result. Crow ends up on 2 wheels there in turn 1. I think you've got to recognize where you're at in this race, and let him just have it. He's clearly got a run on you for a reason. I think you gotta just, you know, self-preservation matters in these races. I don't think that was worth it for Justin Crow. Here's Brad Carpenter's moment into turn 1. He just got plumb ran over.
My bell shot right there in that 44 car. I don't know if he just didn't see what was going on. There's the wreck, seeing it happening. Oh my goodness.
I think Bob figured, you know, they were far enough down the straightaway, it would have been a normal corner pretty much, but that's going to really impact the front end of that 44. A lot of damage to that machine, as he has already called it a night, it seems. But hopefully there's some drivers listening, or some teammates can give the message out there, because I get why Justin did not want to let Bo get down there, but it's not even halfway. You're mid-pack. I just don't think that's worth it. Here we go. Restart again. Lap 54 coming at you. Side by side for second, Chase Williamson, Kendall Tucker. You know, back to some of the comparisons being made to the Super Series and such, Zach. This is pretty much a Super Series race length. We would typically see a 125 on a half-mile racetrack like this, potentially even a 100-lapper. So this is a decently long race. Not super long. It's half what we'll see Thursday, but still, decent length.
And we'll be hitting about halfway here, 10:30 Eastern Standard Time. I mean, they're clicking them off. Even with the cautions, they have been clicking off at quite a substantial rate as Derek Kraus goes down to the inside of Brian Tedeschi to try and take that 6th spot away. Schneider hanging on in the 5th position. Robertson right in front of him. Tucker and Williamson have settled their debate for the 2nd spot and have given it up to Williamson. Now look at him, nose to tail, bumper to bumper, rolling off of turn number 4. Down to the inside. Fight up front. Tucker trying to hang on to the 3rd spot. Robertson says that he wants to take it away.
Wow.
Oh, look at them banging off each other. Wheel to wheel locking as they roll back down into turn number 1. Nose in front. That's going to go to Robertson. Tucker fighting back on the outside line. He's clear behind. I would settle on in, but that hole closes rapidly. Schneider takes a look down to the bottom as well. Tucker just can't catch a break. Andrew gets stuck on that outside line. Nowhere to go. The hole closes too quickly to jump back in, so you really just have to fight for your life up on the top line.
Yeah, I think it's a lot like the early going was in the street stock race. You just got to try and stick it out and make the best of it on the top lane until maybe you get a line, you know, a hole down at the bottom. Schneider has fallen back a little bit, so Tucker could fall back now, and then it closes up just like that. So this is a really tough spot for Kendall Tucker to be in. He's been a lot of fun to watch on Thursdays in the Super Series, but tonight I think he's been better than we've seen him in the Super Series, but starting to fall back here as we hit the mid-portion of the race. Right there, or actually this next time around, technically, we will hit halfway through this late model stock race here tonight.
Cross flags.
That's 62 complete, 62 and a half technically is halfway, and that is right here. So technically that is proper halfway, but yes, cross flags at the flag stand that last time by. 63 down now and 62 to go, and they are single file through most of the field. It's really just this one side-by-side right now up front. There is some racing further back. Look at this, Daryl Hamlin, Jake Fisher side-by-side, Bo Ledbetter, Matt Wolf side-by-side. Braden Campbell gets clear of Kyle Souza. I mean, there's racing all over the racetrack, just like that street stock race.
Lots and lots of fighting throughout the field. Door slamming, tire grinding, whatever you want to call it. They are just going at it throughout this field, and that is the product that the SARA Series puts on throughout all of its divisions. They seem to have the short track racing down pat. God, you just gotta love it. You gotta love the product that they put on. Still fighting up towards the 3rd spot. Kendall Tucker and Chase Robertson trying to find whatever ground they can between the two of them. Schneider and Kraus just waiting in the wind.
Robertson got up in front of Tucker that time, but Schneider dives. Contact! What a save out of Kendall Tucker. Hang on to it. Yes, sir. What a catch out of 00. He's going to hate that he caught it, but also love it at the same time. He got hit to get back straight, but I think it's going to be worth it for him to have hung on to that race car. 8th place now dives to the inside of Carter Levi. That is a spot regained for Kendall Tucker. And we get back to it at the front of the field. Since we are past halfway, I do want to give a nice shout out here quickly to our partners again with the series. Cody Williams Design, Crow Sim Shots, Impel Motorsports, Nautical Marine, Only Short Tracks, Privateer Race Products, RJW21 Management, SARA Templates, SimRepMarket.com, The Association, Thronberg Construction, Trackside Threads, and Velocity Motorsports. We are quickly closing in on the latter stages of this race. And nod as well to our partners here at the channel, Whiplash Simcams, ATVO, CC's Business, Cody, Williams Design, Lucky Performance, and the North American Racing League. It's not time just yet, Zach, but we will have one more vote here tonight. One more YouTube poll for the North American Racing League driver of the race here in the late model stock race. Fans, start thinking about that. Start kind of thinking who we might nominate and who you might want to vote for out of those nominations, as there's some fights deeper in the field. I believe that was Dante Curtis on the outside of one battle. And yes, Dustin Smith on his inside, Curtis falling back.
Dante Curtis is one of the drivers that we had pegged to replicate his performance from the street stock race. Rally for a top 3 position, now settling in for the 12th spot at the moment. Still some race left to run, still just over 50 laps left to go. As Kendall Tucker is off the pace, he's down to the apron.
Uh-oh, that is big.
We had him up at the front, still running as high as he possibly could. Look at the damage on that left front.
Kendall's gonna shut it down, he's done. Taking it to the garage.
Oh no.
Just couldn't hang on after that damage to the left front of the race car. Didn't like the way it was looking, and at this point with now 50 laps to go, decided he had enough. I do want to check on the weather conditions one more time. 75.5 degrees. Now that we've gotten racing, that track temp has spiked again, nearly 90 degrees, but still relatively cool. I mean, it's not super hot. Let's be honest. Like it could definitely be a lot warmer of a track temp, so that's not too bad. Manageable certainly for these guys. As one car is well off pace. That's Steven Oberstadt. He's into the pit lane now with a lot of damage on that number 3.
Do we see drivers just taking it in because they're calling it a day or getting damage fixed, or do we see drivers potentially having differing setups like we saw in the earlier race, maybe underfueling the car? I would hope that after the green flag racing we saw, these guys would be a little bit smarter about underfueling the car. It's such a risk to take. We saw it, if the race goes green, you don't have enough gas, but I don't know, Andrew, with how much these guys bounce off the chip in the late model stock car, maybe he's going to end up burning that gas a little bit sooner than we expect.
I definitely don't think it was that for Tucker Oberstadt, but I wouldn't rule it out for others. I think they kind of just saw the writing on the wall and decided they had enough for the night, but I wouldn't completely rule it out the rest of this race. You might still see some guys get close on fuel if this thing goes green to the end. But that's also asking for these guys to do 45 laps. We've already had 4 cautions for 16 laps in 80 that have been completed. It could go either way. I will say Drew Wooten has done a fantastic job since getting out front today. Has led now an overwhelming portion of this race. 65 of 81 complete. He has been fantastic now that he's gotten to the front. Took him a couple laps to do it. We don't see him a whole lot here on Pit Stop TV. He's a name that I recognize from much earlier days here on iRacing, but Drew is definitely showing what he's made of here tonight in this late model stock race. Continuing on here, not much changing at the moment. I want to do a lap time comparison here in a second between our front runners. I think it's going to be interesting to see just how these guys are lapping. So let's go ahead and put that up. Here's a lap time comparison of the top 4. Wooten, top left. Williamson, top right. Then Robertson and Schneider on the bottom. I mean, they're on top of one another. 17 O's all around. Very, very close. Much like that street stock race. We keep saying it, Zach. That street stock race, that street stock race, that street stock race. But look at that. All within a few 100ths of one another. I mean, look at that. Ranging from a 17.033 to a 17.046. 13 1,000ths of a second separate the lap times in the top 4.
Just shows how close they are. How much they're giving to get to the end here. They're running out of time. In just a few laps time, we will have 35 laps to go. And in about 3 laps, we'll have 35 laps to go. We're narrowing down into the home stretch of this race, Andrew. And Wooten, I said it at the top of the show, or at the top of the race, really, that he was going to be one guy to watch. You know, and he's absolutely showing why he is. Robertson and Wooten were within about a thousandth of a second of each other. They keep clicking it off, lap after lap.
Here's the onboard of Chase Williamson.
He's just hanging in there right now.
Been a lot of fun watching this full night of racing. You see the back end of the field, though. That's something to keep an eye on. We may hit some lap traffic. I think we will. 35 laps to go, rather. I think we'll definitely run those guys down if this goes green. If we get a caution, we might be saved, but at the moment, the pace these guys are setting, I think we'll see some lap traffic. And, you know, when we talk about the top four in the lap time comparison, look at Derek Krause. He's back in this. He is 5th. So I wish we had a graphic to show a full 5. We only have the graphic to show the 4. But Krause would be in that conversation as well. And not far behind him, Brian Tedeschi, Carter Levi, they battle here for 6th. Kendrick Cryer is not far back in 8th, so he's made the top 10 now. Matt Vorndran doing a fantastic job. He is 9th. Dustin Smith 10th. And then look at this, Nim Cross, Braden Campbell. They swap spots here, back of the field, and that might be a spin. Campbell gets hit. Souza hits him. That's a round. That's a caution. This changes everything.
Just over 30 laps to go.
How about that for some timing as far as picking when to go to the back of the field? This is Braden Campbell from Coddle Chassis. Just got up in the loose stuff and literally got loose. Nowhere for Souza to have gone. I mean, there was literally nowhere for poor Kyle Souza to go here. Watch this. He's going to have Darrell Hamlin on his inside here in a second when they come out of turn 4. I mean, that sucks. A couple of pit stops from some drivers. Campbell's in the pit lane. He, of course, towed to the pit lane, so he's likely done. But Souza has also hit the pits. There is car number 7. And then Oberstadt is still down there, and it looks like Souza will continue. I apologize to headphone users. My headset itself just rumbled right there. That camera is parked right over Braden Campbell's parked car, and he left it running, so it's just rumbling away there in the camera mic. But here we go. We're going to have inside of 30 to go when we go back green. Is it time, Zach? Do we do driver of the race?
I think so. I think we're well within that window.
I want to give it a couple laps. I just want to see if these guys can keep it green when we go back green. Because I would hate to nominate somebody up front right now and then have an immediate caution here, because cautions do breed cautions. As Gary Wells mentions in the YouTube chat, cautions do breed cautions. I would hate to jump the gun here. I want to wait a couple laps, 5 laps or so, from this restart, I think, just to see what the vibe is going to be when we go back green. Anything can happen.
Ah, good old Gary. We've still got a good amount of racing left. I say we've only got about 30 or so laps. It's going to be 27 laps to go. Pace car makes a hard left turn. Wooten, Williamson, green flag back in the air. We're off into turn 1 once again.
The sun setting far behind the speedway. The lights starting to kick on. The sparks are flying. Tensions are tightening. Here we go. 27 laps to go now at Five Flags Speedway for this one. The late model stock portion of the 2025 Sim Auto Racing Association Simrap Market, there we go, Fall Brawl 250, it's a mouthful. We have got 26 laps to go now. That's how long it took me to get all that out. Single file through your top 5, battle for 6th.
The night time is the right time to party as Robertson clicks off the fastest lap of the race, a 60-70. Tedeschi gets free down the back straightaway. 25 laps to go. Count them at the line. 2-5 still left in this late model stock car race. boy, that's a big old hit back there for Matt Rolfe. He keeps it rolling, no caution. We stay green. The fight up front, still rolling.
Saw in the background for Matt Rolfe. I don't know what led to the contact for Rolfe, but he hit the wall on the outside of the racetrack really, really hard. And then it's all concrete. No safe area here at Five Flags. It is all just concrete. That was a big, big impact for that 0 car. We are inside of 25 to go. Here's the speed shot. Listen to him go by. Still racing on. Top 3 under a blanket. Kraus in the back end of Schneider. That position could change. Here we go. Kraus to the inside. Schneider tries to defend. And there go the lights. They've just kicked on.
Schneider hanging on as Kraus looks down to the bottom once again into 1 and 2. Sliding up ever so slightly. Stays clear of the 9. Gets back single file. Don't want to put him up into the wall. Don't want to go slamming into that concrete. I know a thing or two about slamming concrete. Let's try to keep it clean, gentlemen, as Kraus lays into the back bumper of the 81 car. Just trying to find a way around a little wiggle down the back straightaway, but keeps his foot in it. Top 3, nose to tail. Wooten, Williamson, Robertson, 20 laps to go. Pit stop TV, Andrew. We did it earlier. We're doing it again. Driver of the race. I'm going to ask the question, who do you got? Let me get your picks before I go into mine.
The old Uno reverse. All right, I got you. Drew Wooten absolutely has to be on there. And if we look at positions gained on the ticker here, Chase Robertson's up 7, but Matt Vorndran is up 12 in the top 10, up to 9th position. Those are easily my 2 picks. So Drew Wooten in that number 2 out front, but also Matt Vorndran. He's also in a great battle right here, trying to pass another. That would be Brian Tedeschi in the 29. He could make it 13 spots.
Trying and trying. You know, usually we take, it's a noticeable trend, we tend to take drivers who are a little bit further up the running order when it comes to driver of the race or driver of the day. Looking to make it 3 wide, not gonna get there, looks like he will. Fisher to the bottom. Oh, this is getting good. This is getting good in the midfield. You know, as I was saying, though, we tend to take drivers a little further up the running order. I want to go a little bit down the running order and take one driver who I feel like has come up through the field. Started 30th. He's up to 15th right now. Christopher Shepard. He's done a really good job of hanging on to it. He's moved up 15 positions. Still moving up. Is a little slow out in front. And he's trying to find his way forward. He's moved up quite a bit, Andrew. I think that's been some solid attrition, some solid fights. Then, honestly, gonna have to go with Vorndran. Double 0. Moved up 13 spot. Oh, wait. Yes, you did. Me not paying attention. Derek Kraus?
That works. He's just gone by the 81 of Schneider, but here comes Cryer coming on late. I'm going to get that vote up here in just 1 second once I type in Derek Kraus's name. We've got nearly 10 laps to go. Just over that is this is the battle for 4th place. It is far from over.
Hendrik Cryer looking down to the bottom, looking to make it 3 wide. He's got the nose in there. Kraus covers him off. Going down to turn number 1, slides up just a little bit. Still hanging tough. Cryer looking topside. Nowhere to go. Just boxed in as the top 3 is scooting away.
Derek Kraus
Give
now
him
his
the
company.
inside. Kraus.
Here comes that 66. A little bit of contact. Carter Levi closes in. And these two start to fall back. Kraus now down to 6th. Cryer moving through the field. Maybe a sleeper. Maybe he should have been picked for that driver of the day. He's moving up into the top 5, but for this race win, 10 laps to go, the last time by the stripe, make it 9 this time around. Drew Wooten. We don't know much about him. We don't get to broadcast many races with him in it, but he shows up tonight, a beautiful number 2 late model stock car, and he has absolutely put a beating on this field, taking the lead early within the first 25 laps, has now led 100, make it 101 laps with about 8 to go.
He is doing a stand-up job of hanging on and managing that gap. Oh, no!
Tedeschi to the pit lane from the top running positions, top 10 or so, as Cryer and Schneider now fight for 4th. We might have slept a little bit on Kendrick Cryer. We might have been missing him a little bit, but boy, he would have been a great pick. I think we still got 4 really good drivers. Cryer, a little bit of contact there with Schneider. Levi comes into the picture, and that's Vorndran behind in 8th. Still a fair bit of racing to go, but we are starting to wrap this one up. 6 laps to go that time by. The best battle on your screen here, it's for 4th.
Think about what would happen if we got a late race yellow. Let me knock on wood for the commentator's curse. But Cryer now puts himself in a position where he could potentially get himself a win should a caution come out. Dustin Smith taking it to the pit lane. I think we're seeing more drivers bringing it in, might have under fuel, maybe have too much damage. But we've got 4 laps to go as they roll by the flag stand. Drew Wooten still hanging on to it. Williamson and Robertson cleared away 2nd and 3rd. Robertson actually slipping into the clutches of these two fighting it out. They're side by side still, but they are running really well and hanging on each other while still closing up on that 31 car.
Wow, Jake Fisher to the inside of Carter Levi and Matt Vorndran. This is the fight now for 7th spot. Levi's got it. This is inside of 3 laps to go. Calamity here in the final remaining laps at 5 Flags Speedway. 2 to go for car number 2. The opening night of the Sim Rap Market. Fall Brawl 250 for the Sim Auto Racing Association Impel Motorsports National Tour is about to hit the white flag.
White flag is about to go into the air. 1 lap to go. Presented by Whiplash Sim Cams. Look at the gap to Chase Williamson, over a second for Drew Wooten as he clicks off through turn number 2. It is a dominating performance out of driver number 2 and through 3 and 4 for the final time. Drew Wooten's going to wrap off a perfect night. He wins the late model stock car portion of Monday night here for the Fall Brawl. Wow. And they're crashing off of turn number 4. Wow!
Massive accident coming to the stripe, and that's going to shake up everybody in the results. Carter Levi finishes this race in reverse. Boy, not the night that he wanted when it's all said and done, but certainly finished this race in style. There's the 25 of cigars to the line. But Drew Wooten will come around and be able to celebrate a race well done here in the late model stocks. What a finish. What a race.
2 great races, 2 great finishes. Drew Wooten put on an absolute masterclass up at the front, took the lead, never looked back. Some may challenge, but never prevailed. And that 2 cars just trying to burn it down.
Kids, look away.
Ends up getting underneath the 51.
Not sure what's going on here between these two. Some celebrations or something, but
feels like we're playing GTA with the ramp car.
Yeah, that was a little extracurricular for you at the end of this one. But let's go back and take a look at what the heck just happened to the stripe. I was about to say the unofficial race results, but no, we had to see what happened there to the finish of this race. Boy, that was a pretty big one. This is Wooten across the line, so we got to go back a little bit further. And this is going to be the white flag. I'm just going to, you know what, Zach? We'll camp here on the flag stand camera and just let it all play out. I think it's going to happen with Levi, who was about, what, 6th, 7th spot? So watch when that light blue 28 comes back into frame. Here they come out of turn 4. They're 3 wide into 3. And Levi gets turned around there. They crash all the way from turn 4 to turn 1. Oh my gosh.
Oh my goodness.
That was incredible. That was really spectacular for all the wrong reasons. Here's that finish. Levi on the outside. Fisher sent it in, and he tags the 28 rather on the outside. Vorndran goes by, but you see Levi and Fisher both crash rather spectacularly. And boy, that is not going to be one that is appreciated by Carter Levi at all. Frankly, Fisher he sent it in there with complete abandon as to what would happen. I mean, he just sends it. He might argue maybe there was some netcode tap from the 00 behind him. That might be worth looking into for race control, but at least the visual, the optic perception of what just happened, that was big.
Well, you could see just how much Fisher was wiggling going into the corner. I mean, that was an egregious send out of the 84 car.
Well, look at the 0-0 here. I think he's gonna allege that the 0-0 gets him potentially. I don't see it.
I don't
Maybe
think
some
there's
net
much
code?
you can allege there.
I think Fisher just got in deep on rear brakes and the rear starts to come around. I'd love to know what the telemetry says. I'm not going to say it's intentional. It certainly wasn't. It was just racing at the end, but definitely got aggressive there. You see Levi go up the racetrack. Cookson spins behind. Here comes Ledbetter into it. I mean, nowhere for some of these guys to go. The Ledbetter, wow, that's
lucky performance, lucky break of the day nomination right there.
Maybe Drunowski has nowhere to go. He's hard on the brakes. One car to the inside. That might be it. Christopher Shepard. Wow, he's going to top 10 out of this.
And I picked Shepard for that driver of the day vote. Oh my goodness.
More drivers make contact to the stripe, but I think there's one more replay we need to see. You know who that's going to be?
Who's that?
That's going to be Shepard. Watch this. Trust me here. We're going to go from his onboard to one of our front stretch cameras. So you're going to start to see it happen ahead. He's behind Drunowski. Trust me. Watch him down low on the inside here. Wow. It all worked out for him right there at the end. You know what? One more replay. Let's see that again, slow-mo. Let's slow it down when they come out of the corner. Here it is. Drunowski's sliding already on the brakes. And Shepard just sneaks to the inside of this. Happens in an instant. That's our lucky performance, lucky break of the day. That's big for Christopher Shepard. Honestly, those of you watching out there still on YouTube, well, only on YouTube, I guess, for the vote, that could be driver of the day stuff right there to just get through that and get into the top 10. But let's take a look back at your unofficial race results now. Now that it's all kind of said and done, we've seen what happened there coming to the stripe. We have got one heck of a results page to go through. Of course, out front it was all Drew Wooten, but behind, where was everybody else at the stripe? Let's see, of course, it's going to be Chase Williamson second place, Chase Robertson in third. The chases were strong here in the late model stocks. Kendrick Cryer just behind in fourth, nearly got there to Robertson for a top three. Jacob Schneider will finish fifth. Derek Krause, a solid sixth. Matt Vorndran, a very solid seventh place finish there for car 00. So that's a bunch of your driver of the day contenders. They all finish in the top 10. All four of our driver of the race contenders, with Wooten winning. Krause in sixth, Vorndran seventh, and then Shepard gets through that crash right behind Dante Curtis and Bo Ledbetter, and Shepard will finish in 10th.
Yeah, and then rounding out your top 10 with Shepard being in that final top 10 position. We rolled the outside of the top 10 with drivers that were in and then they were out, as Mitch Drunowski ends up 11th at the flag stand. Timmy Pacioli in that 12th position with Daryl Hamlin right behind him. Samuel Rouse takes that 13 car to position number 14 with Brad Carpenter surviving all those wrecks and all that chaos. Ends up 15th at the end. Nim Cross crosses the line 16th. And then you've got Jake Fisher right behind in that 84 car. He got involved in a couple of wrecks as well. Kyle Souza 18th on the grid. And Steve Seggers, he ends up in that 19th position as well in that number 25 car. And then Max Cookson, he was up a little bit further in the running order as the race had gotten started, and he ends up 20th position when it's all said and done. But there's some guys outside the top 20, Andrew, that I'm sure we're looking for a top 10 performance.
Well, these are a bunch of guys that were involved in crashes. Levi there at the end, he finishes the race in reverse. Justin Crow, 22nd, a couple laps down. Dustin Smith, I believe, pitted for fuel there late, along with Tedeschi. Matt Rolfe ends up 25th, 23 laps down and out of the race there at the end. Braden Campbell, Steven Oberstadt, a lot of heartbreak back here deep in the field. Kendall Tucker, Bob Belshaw, and Jacob Hayes all out of this one early. Drew Wooten comes across the line first. When it's all said and done, we'll bring in driver number 2 for a word. It was a pretty spectacular way to take the lead early and never look back, Drew. First of all, those opening 15, 20 laps, that was hectic, just like the street stocks before. What was it like out there in the driver's seat?
Just trying to stay dialed in, be smart, make my moves when there was an opening.
And obviously it pays off. The car was, it seemed, on rails. We don't have a ton of info on you. You usually run, some of these races that we don't always broadcast. So who helps make that car so fast?
Well, I turned a lot of laps this week between Sunday and Monday, or Sunday, yesterday and today. Just trying to get it dialed in, trying to redeem myself. I've had a little bit of bad luck here recently, but big thanks to Justin Brooks, Chase Williamson, Cam Hamilton. Those guys always working hard to make these things fast and giving good feedback. So big thanks to those guys.
Definitely very fast number 2 car here tonight. If we had had a late race caution, though, how worried were you about the guys behind you? Of course, the 2, clearly you were very fast, but anything can happen on those late race restarts.
Yeah, it's just one of those things. You got to hope, you don't get a caution because anything can happen. Those late race restarts, you never know who's going to get antsy, who's not, who's going to be there, who's not. So you just hope for, to run it out green and close it out.
It was a buzzer beater lap time to take 4th in qualifying and move Derek Krause down 1 spot in qualifying. Comes out here, runs 4th to 1st, 109 laps led. Drew Wooten, congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
That's what made it look easy, I guess, for Drew kind of win. It definitely looked easy from his perspective, but he gets it done over Chase Williamson and Chase Robertson. A couple of great drivers in their own right, and Chase Williamson's been a lot of fun to watch, Zach, in the Super Series, subbing in for Casey Kelly. It's going to be good to finally talk to him here.
Absolutely, and Chase Williamson and I have something in common here, finishing behind Drew Wooten, ends up getting that 2nd spot on the night. Chase, gotta let us in on what was going through your head, really, because you had a car to go out there and win this race. You led 11 laps, but just didn't have it there at the end. What do you think could have propelled you across the line 1 spot further up?
I just put the wrong gear in. Me and Wooten, we practiced real good buddies IRL and on here, and he was practicing and a lot, and he told me to run the 64, and then Brooks told me to run the 59, but I wish I just would have ran the 64. I don't know if I would have outrun him. I think I would have ran closer to him.
Well, there was always the possibility that things could have gone sideways. A restart or 2 could have shaken everything up, but in the end, you're still going to bring it home 2nd in this Impel Motorsports National Tour event here at Five Flags Speedway. Are we going to see you competing in any of the other events this week here at Five Flags for the Fall Brawl?
Yeah, I'm going to compete in the super race.
There you go. Super Late Models up on Thursday night. I'm sure that is going to be one heck of a race as well. You put on a great performance here. Congratulations on the 2nd place finish, man. Looking forward to seeing you Thursday night then, and seeing if you can replicate this strong finish here in the late model stock car and carry it over to the super late model.
Oh yeah, I appreciate it. First, I want to say thanks to Justin Brooks for the setup. He puts a ton of work in. Cameron Hamilton for spotting tonight, the association, Brooks Speed Shop, and just everyone in our little group. We have a good group, and it's always fun every week to get on here and race with my friends.
Absolutely. Congratulations again, Chase, and looking forward to seeing you in the next one. Absolutely great run tonight.
Thank you.
That was your 2nd place finisher right there. And Cameron Hamilton up on the spotter stand too. So he's got some good drivers behind him teaching him what to do and how to roll through it.
These top 2 finishers each had a lot of great people behind them. Let's move on down to 3rd spot. I suspect it'll be a lot of the same here as Chase Robertson will take home the 3rd position here in the late model stock portion of the 2025 SimWrap Market Fall Brawl 250. And Chase, you started 10th. You drove through a decent portion of the field there early. Got to fighting pretty quick with these guys up front. But what was it like behind the wheel chasing these guys down?
Yeah, it was a ton of fun. A long race. Tires came in to it was a factor late in the race. I think starting 10th kind of hurt our chances to win. Had to use up a little bit more tire there at the start to get the track position, and then the cautions didn't really help either. But all in all, it was a good night. Just want to thank Josh Cottle for the setup.
Cottle chassis has been very much at the front of the field in these SARA races. You continuing that on. I don't recall. I'm going to look back over the entry list for Thursday. I didn't think I saw you on there. So how can you help those guys potentially when it comes down to Wednesday and Thursday, trying to make the big show this week?
Yeah, unfortunately, I won't be able to attend Wednesday or Thursday. I'm going to the NASCAR banquet in Charlotte Thursday and Friday. So, unfortunately, I won't be able to run that because I was looking forward to it. But, I'll help without any. If Jinx needs any help, I'll definitely help him, and hopefully, them guys will run good like they usually do.
I'm sure they will. Connell Chastity looking very good lately. Chase Robertson piloting that number 31 to a solid finish. Chase, good to talk to you after 125 long laps here at Five Flags. Congrats.
Yeah, man. Thank you.
Third place finish there for Chase Robertson. Not able to take part in the rest of this week's festivities, but a lot of great racing still to be had here at Five Flags Speedway. And, we talk about drivers that maybe can or cannot race these remaining races this week. Well, the UERA, again, races here tomorrow as part of this Fall Brawl week for the Sim Auto Racing Association. Check in with SARA social media, basically. Sim Auto Racing Association on Facebook or Race SARA on Instagram to get in on that race. I'm going to send you Matt's way, and he can send you, I'm sure, Grant's way to get you into that race. I'm not entirely sure of the exact requirements to run it. I just know what's happening tomorrow, and I want to support that, even though we will be elsewhere tomorrow night for the BRB Sundance Pro Series as we continue the points racing endeavors there tomorrow, November 18th. But then, Zach, when it comes to Wednesday and Thursday, to make the Super Late Model 250 lapper, let's go through some of the drivers that are listed on the entry list. There are 39 going for 31 spots. Alex McCullum, Jacob Hayes, Steven Oberstadt, Joe Schaefer, Spencer Dickinson, Kyle Souza, Darrell Hamlin, Cameron Hamilton, Blake Massengill, Daniel Pope II, Josh Cottle, Sam Roush, Grant Brown, Mitch Drunowski, Kyle Turzak. We saw him in the Street Stocks. RJ Williams, Dallas Pataska, Joel Smith, Brian Tedeschi, who ran both races tonight, Brad Carpenter, who ran both races tonight. How about Steele Langford, Jake Grout, Chase Williamson, who was here in these races tonight, Parker Trace, Kendrick Cryer, who ran really well tonight, Colin Allman, Derek Robinson, Ryan Kuhn, he's back from, again, kind of a quasi-retirement. Riley Stenjum, Aaron Johnson, Tracy Petter, Jacob Harberts, Jacob Snyder, who was a lot of fun to watch tonight. We're still learning that name a little bit. Justin Crow, Keith Jeffrey, Kyle Meyer, Matt Rolfe, Kendall Tucker, and of course, iRacing Zone, Nim Cross Jr. 39 fantastic drivers going for 31 spots, I believe, on Wednesday. Again, they've got to go through qualifying races, then an LCQ. In the top 10, we haven't figured out the process just yet. We're working on that still, but the top 10 will redraw their positions. They will not have to go through the qualifying races as I understand it. They will redraw their positions. That'll reshuffle the top 10 for Thursday's lineup, and then we go racing for 250 quick ones here at Five Flags. A lot of great racing this week, Zach, and a lot of great places to watch.
Yeah, I can always figure out what's going on here with Pit Stop TV, going to www.pitstoptv.com, facebook.com/pitstoptv, instagram.com/pit_stop_TV, tiktok.com/pitstoptv1, twitch.tv/pit_stop_TV, youtube.com/pitstoptv1, and x.com/pitstoptv_. Lots of great races coming up, lots of great places to follow along. Looking forward to seeing everyone tuning in. We've got a lot of great partners here that make it all happen on Pit Stop TV. We've got a lot of great series that come and showcase their talent here on Pit Stop TV, and I'm super, super excited to see all the racing coming up.
And how about one final competition of the day? We've already thrown the checkered flag on each of these races tonight, but the driver of the race for the late model stocks is going to go to Matt Vorndran. Started back, let's pull up the stats here. Started back in 21st, finished 7th. That's 14 positions through a very, very tough field here in these late model stock cars. I'm not sure what the exact strength of field was, Zach. Maybe you could check the results and tell us before we go off air here. But a very strong field for sure in these late model stock cars. This is kind of a lot of contender drivers that run on Wednesday nights in the Sim Rep Market Contender Series in these late model stocks. So there's a lot of them kind of having a stage here this evening to go racing and show what they're made of. It kind of takes the top of the driver roster in the Sim Auto Racing Association. The guys who just run Super Series, kind of takes them out of it, throws some of these contender guys in, a little bit of mix of who's who. Do you have that strength of field by chance?
It doesn't look like it.
That's okay. It was a very high strength of field for sure in terms of, you know, organized races like this. I mean, 8,100 for Drew Wooten, 6,600 for Chase Williamson, Chase Robertson somewhere around 5,200. The list goes on. Really high I ratings throughout the field. I don't see one lower than 4,000 yet as I'm scrolling through these results, aside from Steve Cigars, and he finished 19th. Very strong field. Definitely cool to see this many drivers of this kind of caliber out here tonight. So, again, good job. Ultimately, good job, Matt Vorndran, getting through the field like that. 14 spots in this field is tough to do. But Zach, one more. Final time, final thoughts here. Night 1 of Fall Brawl 2025.
Oh my lord, I don't even have enough words to describe how great the racing was. Fantastic, stupendous, tremendous, and give me more.
We've got more coming at you again later this week. It is race number 7, round number 7 anyways, for the Impel Motorsports National Tour for the Sim Auto Racing Association. There you see the finish in the background, but 2 more days of racing to go for these guys here at Five Flags. Technically 3. Again, ARCA cars tomorrow night, UERA. Check out SARA social media to get in on that, much like with the only short tracks deal at Oxford earlier this year. Kind of a co-promotion thing there. But we will, of course, be at North Wilkesboro tomorrow night for the BRB Sundance Pro Series, then back here at Five Flags Wednesday and Thursday for qualifying, and qualifying races Wednesday, and then the feature race on Thursday. I do want to say big thank you to all the partners here with the series: Cody Williams Design, Crow Sim Shots, Impel Motorsports, Nautical Marine, Only Short Tracks, Privateer Race Products, RJW21 Management, SARA Templates, SimRapMarket.com, the Association, Throneburg Construction, Trackside Threads, and Velocity Motorsports. And a big thank you to our partners as well: Whiplash SimCams, ATVOs, CC's Business, Cody Williams Design, Lucky Performance, and North American Racing League. That's it for us here at Five Flags Speedway. Thanks so much for tuning in. We'll see you all tomorrow night, hopefully, for the BRB Sundance Pro Series. Otherwise, we'll see you Wednesday for more SARA Impel Motorsports National Tour. This is a mouthful. Sim Rap Market Fall Brawl 250 action. We got so much more coming up this week. Do not miss it.